Welcome to my channel. In my channel, you can watch various type of fiction and fantasy audiobook. If you want more video like this, please subscribe my channel.
American Comics, King of Slacking Off. Starting with Hirenmaru. Part 1. My name is Katerina, female, 22 years old, a level 2 shield agent. Right now, I am preparing to write an anonymous whistleblower letter to report my superior, Yu Xian. As for why, under the scorching lights, a blonde girl bit the end of her pen, as if thinking of something. Rubbing her long golden hair with a headache, a faint scent of lavender spread throughout the room. Various unbearable memories flooded her mind, sparking inspiration, and she scribbled away in her diary. September 10, 2007. Today is my first day officially joining SHIELD. Thinking about working with excellent colleagues and seniors, I am very happy. Afterwards, I met my direct superior as I wished. And this was the beginning of my life's nightmare. The blonde girl's face darkened, as if thinking of some bad memory, and she scribbled quickly. I still remember that first meeting with my superior. The afternoon sun shone on that black-haired, black-eyed Asian youth. His handsome face, combined with the slightly upturned corners of his mouth, was truly fascinating. Blacked out the whole paragraph. No, no, no. Don't be fooled by this guy's appearance. He is a demon, constantly stirring up your desires marked as important. Now that I think about it, perhaps I should have decisively refused the moment I heard his first sentence. Thinking of something else, the girl's cute, petite, oval face instantly puffed up, looking like a round hamster. The following paragraph, if you can deeply understand it, you will realize what a terrifying demon's words these are. Welcome to Y Sector. Salted Fish Squad Team Y. Salted Fish Squad, let us slack off together. Ah no, let us create a beautiful life together. October 10th, nothing happened today. Heaven, I feel like I'm dying slowly. A whole month, my imagined secret missions, undercover in gangs, fighting crime, none of it happened. No, it's not that it didn't happen, but rather that Yu Xian, that big idiot, blacked out, pushed the missions to other teams. It's hard to imagine what I've been doing this month. Pouring tea, serving water, drinking coffee, binge watching shows, reading newspapers, sleeping in. Although it's a little refreshing, very comfortable, scribbled out, I was clearly a person pursuing a stimulating and just life. Why did I fall into this bed of sin? I'm starting to be slowly assimilated by this guy without realizing it, starting to know how to enjoy life. October 20th, I don't know what happened outside. Thank goodness, all the field teams have been sent out. This time, Yu Xian, this guy, finally can't push it away. According to intelligence, illegal genetic enhancement drugs appeared at an underground black market trade site in Manhattan. Yeah, finally, I can go on a mission. Hee hee hee. Why did I believe that Yu Xian, this guy, could turn over a new leaf? Looking at Yu Xian strolling around the Chinatown gourmet shops and snack stalls, I look at the strawberry ice cream cone in my hand, 5 skewers of grilled squid, and once again put a question mark on the meaning of life. God, please forgive my sins. Although the final result was good, the gangsters who were secretly trading were successfully apprehended. But the process of solving it was inexplicable. When we arrived, these guys had all fallen into a coma. Only a pile of bird feathers was left behind. I don't know which unknown hero made a move. Without a chance to make a move, ending in such a dramatic way, I am not happy at all. October 21st. Nothing happened today. Secretly catching up on sleep during work hours, I was a bit excited the night before last and had insomnia. Fortunately, no one found out. Quote. October 25th. Mom and Dad, your energetic daughter is gone. Heaven, I weighed myself today, and I actually gained 0.5 jin. Quote. December 21st. After my unremitting efforts, I can finally say, no, loudly to this demon. HMPH. I, Katerina, will never accept the dessert offered by this demon again. March 10th. Good news. According to the Intelligence Department, there is an illegal arms trade at an abandoned factory in Brooklyn. I can finally go on a mission. This time, thanks to my efforts, Yu Xian, this guy, finally acted like a human being. We only soaked in the hot springs during the mission. Well, don't say, it was quite comfortable, scribbled out. Well, nothing happened, we successfully arrived at the mission location. But unexpectedly, an accident still happened. Yu Xian, this big idiot crossed out, actually said he wanted to get off work at 5 o'clock. Huh, get off work, what about the bandits who are currently trading? And this finally allowed me to see the tip of the iceberg of this lazy guy's strength. Writing this far, Katerina recalled the shocking scene from the day. Yu Xian just drew the extremely beautiful long sword Hiranmaru tucked at his waist and said lightly, "Sit upon the frozen heavens." Katerina felt the temperature of the surrounding air drop sharply, as if instantly falling from a hot summer into a cold winter. She couldn't help but shiver, watching the tiny ice crystals condense in the air, shimmering and falling like diamond dust. Immediately afterwards, with Yu Xian as the center, a visible cold air erupted violently, sweeping across the entire abandoned factory like a tsunami. Katerina only felt a biting chill instantly invade her whole body, and she could even hear the sound of her own teeth chattering. In just a few seconds, the dilapidated, cluttered abandoned factory turned into a crystal-clear ice palace. Those bandits who were still trading weapons all maintained the posture of the trading moment, completely frozen in the thick ice, like lifelike ice sculpture specimens. Katerina. Sigma, circle dot operator hollow down pointing triangle circle dot operator. What is this? Heaven, if it wasn't for getting off work, how long would this guy have wanted to hide his strength from me? This detestable guy, clearly so strong, why is he still slacking off, crossed out, rotting, crossed out, in short, why did he take me down with him to be a salted fish? Katerina had a headache thinking about the Brooklyn abandoned factory still frozen. Yu Xian actually said he would unseal them after work tomorrow and then arrest them. Sigh, for this team, she has broken her heart. She could already imagine the scene she would face tomorrow, countless reports were unavoidable anyway. My name is Yu Xian, 24 years old, male, level 7 shield agent, with one level 2 agent under my command. Well, apart from being a bit prone to hot-bloodedness and being overly righteous, I am very satisfied with everything else. Like many protagonists in novels and anime, I was also honored to be hit by a truck running a red light and transmigrated. I transmigrated into the Marvel Universe world, the period before Tony became Iron Man. Like many protagonists, in the first month of coming to this world, my golden finger appeared. Just when I thought I could rely on this system to fight hard and reach the peak of life, an accident occurred. Ding! Congratulations to the host for obtaining the slacking system. As long as the host is in a happy mood, you will obtain pleasure points. Gather 1000 pleasure points to conduct a lottery. Drawing gold or purple items can obtain different energy values to improve the host's strength. The host's strength is judged by the amount of energy in the body. The relevant visualization interface will be gradually unlocked after the host unlocks full star gold purple skills and obtains 5 gold skills. Note: obtaining skills in this system requires upgrading stars to unlock relevant skill scenes. The obtained skills will not directly replicate the strength of the source skills. At the same time, there are special skills cannot be upgraded that can perfectly replicate related abilities. Now, a novice gift pack is given to the host, which can randomly open a gold reward for self-defense. What the hell? Slacking system, energy system. Is this ghost system letting me continue my slacking path from my previous life? So, slacking is my only path. Should I, Yu Xian, just keep slacking off? Forget it, I don't want to think about it. Slacking is slacking. It's just slacking from one world to another. Let's open the novice gift pack and see first. Afterwards, I followed traditional virtues, performed a series of services such as washing hands, bathing and changing clothes, spa, massage, etc., and found an auspicious day, a dark and windy night. I excitedly opened the novice gift pack. Honestly, I really didn't expect that opening a novice gift pack could cause such a stir. Ding! Congratulations to the host for drawing a gold item, Hiranmaru. At that time, seeing the Hiranmaru floating in front of me, the white blade body symbolizing the combination of ice and moon, I was very excited inside. That sentence, "sit upon the frozen heavens, Hiranmaru," is my childhood memory. However, God has unpredictable storms, you never know what will happen in the next second. The moment I picked up Hiranmaru, an accident happened. A living ice dragon appeared in front of me. The park I chose to open the gift pack in had its entire weather pattern changed, a blizzard started, and the lake was completely frozen. What's even more annoying is after the ice dragon recognized its master. Holding Hiranmaru, which had returned to its sword form, a pillar of light like snow erupted from my body. This scene was as if Hiranmaru was telling the world about its arrival. Coincidentally, S.H.I.E.L.D. director Nick Fury happened to be eating in New York. The moment he discovered the anomaly, he mobilized forces, and in less than 10 minutes, he locked onto me. Thirsty for talent, seeing that my family background was very clean, he invited me to work at S.H.I.E.L.D. I originally refused, but the salary and benefits were too good, so I had to agree with pain. Just like that, I became a level 7 S.H.I.E.L.D. agent. In the month after joining, thanks to my unremitting slacking, my strength has improved rapidly. It's a pity that there will be no qualitative improvement after extracting skills from the system. Similar to Shinigami Toshiro Hitsugaya and Genryusai Shigekuni Yamamoto, it's not that the Zanpakuto is not good, but the gap in the amount of Ryutsu in the body. And the amount of Ryutsu in one's body comes from the number and quality of extracted skills. This gap is not so easy to bridge. And I finally waited for the team members' promise to me. Hee, that's great, finally don't have to pour tea and write reports myself. Detected that the host is in a happy mood, pleasure points plus 100. So what is the name of our team? The Marvel team name that I have a deep impression of is X-Men, so I'll just make a team Y, that way it's not considered copying. Don't say, this new teammate is really good, Katarina, a proper hot-blooded girl, this face full of desire is written on her face, just short of saying, I am incompatible with evil. As for the opening remarks, I have practiced many times. When I walked to the designated position, bathed in the sun, I revealed the warm boy smile that I had practiced no less than hundreds of times, and said that sentence, welcome to Y Sector, Salted Fish Squad Team Y. Salted Fish Squad, let us slack off together, oh no, let us create a beautiful life together. At the same time, I prayed silently in my heart that the blonde girl's report writing skill points were maxed out. The reports here are really too many. Any small thing requires writing a report. This kind of non-slacking behavior can only be left to her. Just like that, I started a beautiful life, slacking off at work every day, getting off work on time. All missions that can be pushed are pushed away, because I know that my happy time is running out. Once Tony becomes Iron Man, this world will not be as calm and beautiful as it is now. Take advantage of the time to enjoy more, slack off more to improve myself, so that I can take the initiative in the upcoming world crisis. Sure enough, as the time for Iron Man's birth approached, the world began to become chaotic, and the tasks I needed to execute became more frequent. The first mission, I looked at it, very simple. I directly used the animal control ability obtained through the slacking system. Purple. Pirate Series Dango Fruit 1-star Forced Taming, limited to animals. Let my bird army carry out targeted strikes on criminal gangs and other ordinary people. The rest of the time was all slacking time, and I brushed a wave properly. Detected that the host is in a happy mood during the mission, pleasure points plus 30. Detected that the host is in a happy mood during the mission, pleasure points plus 30. Under Katarina's puzzled gaze, the first Team Y mission was successfully completed. After that, it was daily slacking, welcoming the second mission. During the mission, I firmly held onto the idea of slacking off. Amidst Katarina's nagging, I chose to soak in the hot springs, and this time, Katarina finally fell. After the hot springs and massage, I successfully increased 200 plus pleasure points. Only then did I start to head to the designated location, the Brooklyn abandoned factory. Unexpectedly, this group of people was so troublesome in trading. By the time I collected the evidence, they actually dragged it until almost off work. I won't do this. Now, no one can stop me from comprehending the great way of slacking. No way, I can only show a hand in front of Katarina, hoping she won't like me later. Then I used Sit Upon the Frozen Heavens to freeze the factory, ensuring that the people inside would not die within 24 hours. Happily get off work. What to do today? Decided, it's you, Red Light District. Detected that the host is forced to get off work and is in a happy mood, pleasure points plus 100. The next day, at a hotel in the Red Light District. Knock, knock, knock. Yu Xian, who was deep in sleep, was awakened by the angry knocking of Katarina. Feeling the softness in his arms, he couldn't help but recall the madness of last night. Having too strong of a constitution isn't necessarily a good thing. I'm always the one suffering. He looked up to check the time. Oh, crap, it's 10 o'clock. No wonder Katarina was so full of resentment, she was probably driven crazy by the police who were already on duty. Detected that the host is in a pleasant mood due to absenteeism, pleasure points plus 50. Knock, knock, knock. Yu Xian, you asterisk asterisk asterisk, open the door. Faintly, Katerina's resentment seemed to pierce through the door and reach Yu Xian. Hiss tilde, this girl is getting bold today. Does she still have any respect for me? It's time to show the dignity of my Team Y captain. Are you actually capable of doing anything? There are so many materials waiting for your approval. I stayed up for half the night, while you've been living it up. 20 reports, a full 20 reports. God knows how much I wanted to throw them right in your face when those people at the police station dumped them on me. And another thing, Katerina drove while spewing insults, continuously listing Yu Xian's various crimes. Seeing that his chief steward was in a bad mood, Yu Xian could only offer a sheepish smile. Recruiting someone isn't easy. He couldn't let her run off, or else who would he exploit? No, no, that's not right. I'm not a black-hearted boss. It's just that when some people are enjoying themselves, there are always others carrying the burden. His path of slacking off relied on this person. After a while, the blonde girl must have gotten tired and finally stopped. Seeing this, Yu Xian breathed a sigh of relief, avoiding the girl's resentful gaze. It seemed the blonde girl was under a ton of pressure. It was better not to provoke her for now. It was time to start expanding the team. There was no hope of relying on the higher-ups. At this point in time, S.H.I.E.L.D. had long since been infiltrated by Hydra, and he didn't want to recruit a Hydra subordinate. People with such a clean background as Katerina were rare these days. It was safer to find teammates himself. As for candidates, Yu Xian already had a suitable one in mind. It was decided, it would be you, Quake Daisy Johnson. Oh, wait, she should be called Sky right now. He'd figure it out another time. Seeing that they were still some distance from the factory, Yu Xian began to silently call out to the system in his mind. System, I am here, host. How many pleasure points have I saved up now? See for yourself. Yu Xian. Instantly, a light blue screen appeared before Yu Xian's eyes. Slacking system. Host. Yu Xian. Pleasure points. 51,200. Abilities. Gold. Shinigami Series Hirenmaru 3 stars. JoJo Series Stand Ability Star Platinum 1 star. Purple. One Piece Series Whisper Fruit 1 star. One Piece Series Dango Fruit 1 star. Fairy Tail Series Ice Make Magic 1 star. Note. Shinigami Series Hirenmaru 1 star. Shikai State 3 stars. Unlocked Incomplete Bankai. Note. JoJo Series Stand Ability Star Platinum 1 star. Unlocked Star Platinum Platinum Barrage. Purple item. JoJo Series Arrow used to obtain partial stand ability, Crazy Diamond. White fragments 45, blue fragments 49, purple fragments 3. This panel was satisfying to look at every single time. With his current strength, Hirenmaru had already unlocked Bankai, and according to the system, gold skills would have a qualitative improvement at 3 stars and 5 stars. At 3 stars, he could already unleash a super simplified version of Hayaten Hayakuso. Activating the stand ability Star Platinum allowed him to obtain physical attributes comparable to a superhuman. Coupled with the auxiliary abilities of the Devil Fruit, he had established an animal intelligence network. Plus, Gray's Ice Make Magic could mask the unique traits of his Hirenmaru, preventing people from noticing its uniqueness, which was perfect. Unfortunately, even a genius like him had to bow to the tyranny of the system. Was he supposed to increase his energy, that is, the amount of his spiritual pressure, by acquiring more skills? If he wanted to reach the level of Genryusai Shigekuni Yamamoto, who could incinerate a whole world, it seemed he still had a long way to go. If nothing else, this was truly a sadistic system. Skills, are they just techniques? Did he have to slack off, rot away, and drop prizes to gain spiritual pressure and become stronger? But this slacking off was subjective. He only gained pleasure points if he truly believed he was slacking off. He had tried it before. If his mindset wasn't right, even if he performed the actions of slacking off, he wouldn't gain any pleasure points. That was frustrating. In this terrifying world where you could encounter a supervillain just by sleeping, only strength was an eternal theme. So, when will I be able to see what the specific system is? Given that the host has insufficient skills, relevant functions will unlock once you have acquired enough gold and purple skills. The next relevant function requires the host to acquire a 5-star skill to unlock. At the same time, please abandon unnecessary fantasies. Work hard at slacking off, gain more pleasure points, draw more prizes, and improve your strength. Only when more skills are acquired will the host's energy foundation become deeper, and the power of the same skill released will be completely different. The energy system will be opened sequentially after the host reaches 5 gold skills. Please look forward to it. Fine, but the system's gold drop rate is really low. The slacking system allowed a 10 pull for 1000 pleasure points, with all items being 5-star grade. It took him nearly half a year to draw this much gold, and there wasn't even a pity system. Thinking about how he spent 50,000 last month without even a ripple, Yu Xian felt a headache coming on. He worked his ass off every month, trying every way to slack off and find pleasure, only to barely bring in 60 to 100,000 emotion points a month. How could there be no pity system? Isn't this too harsh for someone with bad luck? Just think, I'm a man who had to spend 10,648s just to hit the pity in on my OG, and you won't even give me a pity system. This is truly bullying. Now he could only rely on the fragment mechanism. Fortunately, there was a fragment mechanism to comfort himself. All drawn white and blue items that were useless were converted into corresponding fragments. 50 fragments could be exchanged for 1 higher level fragment, and 1 purple fragment could be used for 1 skill upgrade. Based on his observations during this period, he had mainly discovered relevant intelligence on the following anime series: Shinigami series, One Piece series, Hokage series, Fairy Tail series, JoJo series, Demon Slayer series, Marvel series. Unfortunately, the abilities that could be called purple were few and far between. Even the gold items were drawn during the newbie protection period. Now there was no chance. The path of slacking off was still very long. We're here. A light, girlish voice sounded in his ear. Yu Xian came back to his senses and looked. In front of him was the frozen, abandoned factory in Brooklyn. The entire abandoned Brooklyn factory was now surrounded by police. Over a dozen police cars were scattered all around. After getting out of the car, a police captain wiped the sweat from his face and said excitedly, "Haha, my friends, you've finally arrived. If you hadn't come, I would have had to rely on human body heat to melt the ice." Yu Xian ignored the captain's resentment, his right hand lightly resting on the Hiranmaru at his waist, the corners of his mouth curling up slightly. "Tenso Jurin, release." His cold, clear voice echoed and drifted through the air. Crack, crack. The ice, which had been indestructible and left the police helpless, showed fine cracks the moment Yu Xian finished speaking. The cracks spread rapidly, covering the entire frozen factory like a spiderweb. The next moment, there was no earth-shattering roar, nor was there a scene of overflowing cold air. The factory, originally covered by a thick layer of ice, seemed as if it had been enchanted. The ice melted and evaporated at a speed visible to the naked eye. The whole process was silent, yet shocking. Sunlight once again spilled into every corner of the factory, as if the extreme cold from before had just been a hallucination. Numerous police officers stared dumbfounded at the amazing scene before them. The ice that had frozen the entire factory vanished and evaporated, like snowflakes under the sun, leaving not a single trace. "So you're saying these guys were illegally smuggling Stark Industries weapons?" Katerina looked at the group of gangsters being taken away by the police, who were still shivering from time to time, with a look of surprise on her face. Just after the ice melted, everyone discovered Stark Industries weapons among the traded weapon markings. God, Stark Industries has always been the U.S. military's largest weapons supplier, if someone is using it for illegal arms trading. No, we must report this to the higher-ups. The blonde girl, full of a sense of justice, stared intensely at Yu Xian, as if she would attack him if he didn't agree. Well, although this girl couldn't beat Yu Xian. Under the blonde girl's stern gaze, Yu Xian finally gave in. Sigh, he couldn't even slack off properly. If he let Katerina make this call, he could already foresee what was waiting for him. According to the Shield Agent Code, whoever's mission it is responsible for completing it, unless they are dead. But Yu Xian didn't want to dampen the girl's enthusiasm. In the girl's underlying expression, it was full of, I want to, emotion. Who let me be kind-hearted? Fine, have it your way. It just so happens that I suddenly thought of something. I remember his name is Dr. Ethan, right? Can we consider recruiting this guy into my team? Why? Yu Xian had a sudden inspiration, thinking he could use this incident to expand the team members. On the other side, Katerina was already impatiently calling one-eyed Nick Fury. As Yu Xian's chief steward, Yu Xian had fully entrusted work-related matters to her. Hello, Director Fury, this is Agent Katarina. We have discovered a piece of important intelligence. After listening to Katarina's report, Nick Fury pondered for a moment before saying in a somewhat heavy tone, Agents, we have a problem. We cannot let high-tech weapons fall into the wrong hands. These weapons might eventually be pointed at us. Yu Xian, your team-wise mission now is to investigate the trade chain, identify the personnel involved, and track the flow of funds. At the same time, secretly monitor Tony Stark and investigate whether he is aware of this. If he is not, the problem may lie with the higher-ups at Stark Industries. If he is aware but chooses to ignore it, we need to make him understand the severity of the situation. Finally, identify the buyers and trace where these weapons are going. Are they terrorists, or other uncontrollable forces? Find them and cut off the supply chain. Remember, you must not alert the enemy. Before you have concrete evidence, do not disturb Stark or the military. If action is required, we must ensure the evidence is solid to avoid trouble. All right, my agents, move out. I look forward to your triumphant return. Beep, 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 beep. Listening to the busy signal on the phone, Yu Xian sighed internally and glanced sideways at Katarina, who was unusually excited, as if she had taken stimulants. I am bearing pressure I shouldn't have to for your sake, so you can't have any more thoughts of slacking off in the future work, got it? After all, if even you, a tool, start slacking off, how am I supposed to happily goof off? Don't worry, leave it all to me. Understanding that she had received a major mission, Katarina said carelessly. Detected that the host is in a good mood from pooing a subordinate, pleasure value plus 100. Since it's already been decided, I need to maximize the value of the mission. In the process, can I incidentally gain Tony's friendship? If I can, could I get the chance to receive a suit of armor from Tony, just like Spider-Man? I've been drooling over that armor for a long time, so I'll use this opportunity to see if I can max out Tony's favorability. But how exactly should I do it? I don't know Tony right now. Even if I visited him, given Tony's playboy personality, wouldn't he just treat me like a fool? Even if it were me, a perfectly normal person, if a stranger suddenly wanted to be friends with me, I'd have to wonder if I'd done something wicked recently. What should I do? Yu Xian's brain worked rapidly, and before long, he thought of a few methods. The first, tell him about Obadiah Stane's ambition, let Tony discover his potential crisis, and gain his favor. The second, tell Tony the cause of his father's death to win his trust. The third, since in the plot, Tony will later be kidnapped by the Ten Rings while demonstrating weapons in the Middle East, I can step in when he is at his most difficult moment and provide help in his time of need. These could all gain Tony's trust, so I'll choose the third one. While gaining Tony's trust, I can also save Dr. Ethan. Suddenly, I have a tiny bit of desire to see Tony experience a social death. When Tony is reminiscing about Ethan and expressing his true feelings, I suddenly bring Ethan to him. Sizzling tilde, the thought of this scene is just too wonderful tilde. However, I might have to put on a show. Since I know the future plot of the Marvel Universe, I won't arbitrarily change the big, key storylines for now. As for the details, as long as I can achieve the final result, trimming and cutting the middle plot, as long as the most crucial plot points aren't changed, there won't be any big problems. As long as I can benefit from it, even if it deviates from the main path, it should be fine, right? Right now, I don't have the power to be invincible in the universe, so stability is the priority, with my own little ideas interspersed in the storyline as a secondary focus. Is there anyone who, after transmigrating and knowing the plot, would drastically change the storyline? Probably not, right? Shouldn't one use the advantage of knowing the plot to make it develop in a direction favorable to oneself? Once my strength is enough to walk sideways on Earth, I won't need to care about these small details. Even if I change the plot drastically, it won't be a problem. However, in that case, my best choice is to follow closely behind Nick Fury and implement my little ideas according to his rhythm. Sigh, poor Nick Fury. As one of the few subordinates who isn't Hydra, I am still using him, it's truly pitiful. Amen. Also, my designated team member, Sky, will just have to be recruited after this. Poor Sky, you'll have to stay in that dilapidated little van of yours for a while longer. When I return, I will rescue you. Inside a certain mobile van. Achoo tilde. Sky rubbed her nose and continued her speech. Searching in the air, or searching on land? How will you make us stay silent this time? How will you do it? The truth is already known to everyone, visible everywhere. You cannot stop the rising tide. You cannot find us, and you cannot see our faces. But undoubtedly, we will rise up and resist those who hide the truth from us. Quote. Shield, New York branch, Team-Y's exclusive office. Yu Xian was eating fruit pizza with a satisfied look on his face. Detected that the host is in a good mood from eating delicious food during work hours, pleasure value plus 100. At the desk opposite, Katerina was scribbling away at various mission reports. After a long time, she finally finished the tasks. Katerina let out a light sigh. She looked at Yu Xian, who was drinking coffee while binge-watching a show, and her delicate eyebrows couldn't help but twitch. If this guy didn't have her watching him, would he be throwing parties in the office every day? Sigh, since the surrounding environment can't be changed at all, I can only take action to change the environment myself. No, the captain is too lazy. Despite having formidable strength, he's still slacking off like this. Isn't this just wasting the talent heaven gave him? Wouldn't it be better to spend his time on the right things and go out more to catch bad guys? It's time to start the captain cultivation plan. I am going to mold the captain into my shape. Captain, everything is ready. Shall we set off now and start the secret investigation of Stark Industries? Katerina interrupted Yu Xian's enjoyment at the right moment. Yu Xian stretched comfortably on the recliner, yawning. Looking up, it was already past 3 in the afternoon. Yo, time for afternoon tea. Yu Xian looked at the spirited Katerina with a leisurely expression, knowing that this girl was already impatient and ready to go on the mission. This won't do. As my subordinate, how can she not know how to properly enjoy life? There's no end to work, you know. Perhaps I should change this girl a little. Right now, I can't even find anyone to play a game with, and half the fun is gone. A teammate who can handle work and also play with me is what I truly need. As expected, slacking off alone is just a small trick. Letting everyone happily slack off together is the way to go. This is the essence of the way of slacking off. It is time to start my own teammate cultivation plan. Perhaps this is the perfect time to set a benchmark and be a role model for future team members. Yu Xian and Katerina looked at each other and said in unison, "Move out, target, Stark Industries." California, Pax Casino. Katerina secretly scanned Tony Stark, who was at the gambling table in the distance. It had been over 2 months since the mission was assigned. Katerina hadn't discovered anything unusual about Tony Stark at all. He was just an arrogant, hedonistic, and uncontrollable troublemaker. Based on her observations during this time, she found that with this guy's personality, he would never engage in illegal arms dealing. He was just a simple person who only cared about business. Believing this guy was into smuggling was less believable than believing he had slept with a few more beauties today. There was another guy who didn't let people rest easy. Looking at Yu Xian, who was at the same gambling table as Tony, Katerina really wanted to open up his brain to see what on earth was inside. Heavens, we are on a secret surveillance mission, okay. How could you get right up in his face? The crowd at the casino began to disperse. After regrouping with Katerina, Yu Xian watched as a reporter named Christine Everhart stepped forward to question Tony. He knew Tony would have another wonderful night today. Yu Xian was also ready to seek out his own source of pleasure. Hey, Captain, are we leaving just like that? Don't worry, I've already made arrangements, there won't be any problems. Yu Xian gave a subtle glance at the bird in the tree, his Animal Intelligence Network's third great general, White Phoenix. He activated the whisper fruit, transmitting sound over a long distance, instructing it to follow Tony closely. Now, it was just a matter of waiting for the subsequent plot to unfold, sitting and waiting for him to be captured by the 10 rings. Now is not the time for me to make an appearance. Once Tony left with the female reporter, Yu Xian started thinking about where to go tonight. Heard there were twins at the red light district. Perhaps. Detected host is continuously experiencing pleasure, pleasure points plus 100. Detected host is continuously experiencing pleasure, pleasure points plus 200. Detected host is continuously experiencing pleasure, pleasure points plus 100. Ding. Host's cumulative pleasure points have reached 500,000, now unlocking achievement reward. Every time host's pleasure points accumulate to 500,000, you will receive a random golden treasure chest, from which the host can obtain a golden skill reward. 2 hours later, Yu Xian lay lazily on the soft waterbed, enjoying the post-battle massage from the twins. Harder. Following Yu Xian's command, the blonde twins beside him hurriedly increased the strength of their hands. The two blonde ladies moved their fingers nimbly across Yu Xian's back, precisely finding every sore acupoint, kneading lightly at times, pressing firmly at others, with the rhythm just right. Their jade-like fingers allowed Yu Xian's muscles to completely relax, and his fatigue dissipated. Thinking of the system notification just now, Yu Xian immediately checked the panel and found that there was indeed an extra package in it. He clicked to view it. Ding. Host, do you want to open the golden treasure chest? It was really true. Yu Xian looked at the prompt, his heart burning with excitement. Open the golden treasure chest. Yu Xian thought to himself. Ding. Congratulations to the host for obtaining the following rewards, please choose one of them. Golden. Dragon Ball Series Flying Nimbus. Golden. Marvel Series Wolverine Regeneration. Golden. Naruto Series 8 Tails Transformation. 3 options appeared before his eyes. Yu Xian stroked his chin, lost in thought. Flying Nimbus. The speed is fast, but I have the stand ability Star Platinum, flying is not a problem, and if I recall, doesn't this thing require a pure heart? Tilde. Pass. 8 Tails Transformation. The destructive power is enough, but this image. Yu Xian imagined himself turning into a giant octopus monster, and shuddered all over. Forget it, it's too ugly, it will affect my mood for slacking off. Wolverine Regeneration. This is not bad. With this thing, plus the passive speed, strength, and precision boost from the stand ability Star Platinum. Now, my little life is even more guaranteed. I can slack off even more unscrupulously. It's decided. Wolverine Regeneration. Ding. Congratulations to the host for obtaining the golden ability, Wolverine Regeneration. A warm current instantly flowed through his whole body, and Yu Xian felt something stirring inside him. To verify the effect, he used ice make magic to generate an ice blade. Not caring about the twins' reaction, as a regular customer, he had long stopped hiding anything in front of them, fearing to reveal his abilities. After all, he had already used ice make magic to liven up their activities. He slashed at his left arm. Rip, a small wound formed, but strangely, not a drop of blood flowed out. Hiss, that actually hurts. However, visibly to the naked eye, the small wound healed at an astonishing speed. A few seconds later, the skin returned to normal, not even leaving a scar. Perfect. Yu Xian nodded with satisfaction, now he could let himself go even more. Detected host obtained new ability and is feeling happy, pleasure points plus 200. The next morning, a luxury room in the red light district. Sunlight filtered through the gaps in the curtains, spilling onto Yu Xian's face. He turned over, couldn't help but reach out forward, and muttered, "What time is it?" Cuckoo tilde. A soft bird call came. Yu Xian opened his eyes and saw a white owl standing on the windowsill, tilting its head looking at him. White Phoenix, is there news? White Phoenix was one of the 3 giants in Yu Xian's animal intelligence network, and everything that flew in the sky was managed by this guy. It was also responsible for monitoring Tony Stark. White Phoenix nodded and reported in bird language, "Cuckoo. Tony has already set off for the Middle East, the plan can begin." Yu Xian jumped up from the bed with a kip up, stretched, the show is about to start. He walked to the window, looking at the bright sunlight outside, the corners of his mouth slightly raised. Tony Stark, are you ready to welcome the surprise? Detected host is about to take action and is feeling happy, pleasure points plus 100. He turned his head to look at the twins who were still fast asleep, leaned over and kissed each on the cheek, and whispered, "Babies, I'm leaving first, see you tonight." Afterwards, he put on a shield. Agent uniform, put on sunglasses, pushed the door and went out, leaving only a stack of cash on the nightstand. It's time to start my stage performance. Yu Xian flexed his wrists, excitement flashing in his eyes. And downstairs, Katarina was anxiously waiting outside. Things were bad. In just one night, Tony had gone to the Middle East to sell weapons. So, when are you departing? On the other end of the phone, Nick Fury heard that Tony Stark was heading to the Middle East to buy weapons, and his heart skipped a beat. A bad premonition welled up in his heart. Director, we're just waiting for your approval. Under Katarina's incredulous gaze, Yu Xian asked Nick Fury for operational funds. What about the travel expenses? The Middle East. It's such a great place, an area where every inch of land is worth gold, and the entertainment industry is rampant. Since it's so hard to get out this time, if I don't turn this business trip into a vacation, how could I justify Tony's assist? For lodging, I must stay at the best hotel, a presidential suite is the standard. For food, I must eat the most authentic local delicacies, roasted whole lamb and camel meat must both be tasted. And there's the most important part, the nightlife in the Middle East. I heard the nightclubs there are all magnificent, filled with beautiful women. Shouldn't I broaden my horizons? I didn't have the chance in my past life, so I can't miss it this time. Nick Fury. Did I hear that right? Why do I feel like this guy isn't here to report for work, but to ask me for money? Nick Fury. Phew, finally here. The plane slowly landed on the soil of the Middle East. Wow, tilde, so this is the Middle East. It feels pretty good. Yu Xian took off his sunglasses, breathed in the dry, exotic air, and the corners of his mouth curled up slightly. Katarina dragged her suitcase with a serious expression, scanning her surroundings vigilantly. Captain, we're here to execute a mission, not for a vacation. Shish, tilde, keep it down. Yu Xian held up his index finger, making a shushing gesture. Do you want everyone to know what we do? Relax, just treat this mission as a vacation. I promise, there won't be any problems. Young people should enjoy life properly. If you don't enjoy it while you're young, are you going to wait until you're old and can't walk to start experiencing life? Katarina rolled her eyes. She already had a little resistance to Yu Xian's daily brainwashing. Captain, the arms deal on Tony's side has already started, right? Are you really that confident? She really couldn't understand why the captain could be so relaxed and calm about everything. Does this guy not know what fear is at all? Yu Xian seemed to understand the girl's gaze and chuckled. If you had also transmigrated here like me and had knowledge of the world's plot, you would be able to do whatever you want just like me. Don't worry about so much, listen to me. Let's go. Target, 5-star hotel. The two took a luxury car to the top-tier hotel in the Middle East, Golden Oasis. As expected of the best in the Middle East, 1,000 words can be summed up in 2, awesome. Yu Xian looked around. The lobby was magnificent, and the staff were polite. In the distance, the buffet restaurant was filled with a dazzling array of delicacies. Captain, I think we should look at the mission first. Katarina looked around and, noticing that there was no one nearby, immediately whispered to Yu Xian. Mission, no rush, let's fill our stomachs first. Yu Xian walked straight to the buffet restaurant and began to pick out various delicacies. Katarina was left speechless looking at Yu Xian's foodie appearance. Roasted whole lamb, pilaf, tandoor meat. Yu Xian's plate was soon piled high. He found a seat by the window, sat down, and began to feast while admiring the exotic scenery outside. Detected that the host is enjoying the food and is in a happy mood, pleasure value +50. Just as Yu Xian was feasting, boom, Tony's happy horse vehicle was blown away by an incoming bomb. And he himself was hit by shrapnel from the bomb, falling completely unconscious. He was taken by the members of the 10 Rings for emergency treatment. Everyone present failed to notice that an eagle was hovering in the sky above. The eagle's sharp gaze was fixed tightly on the injured and unconscious Tony. Is it finally beginning? Yu Xian, who was feasting, suddenly stopped his actions, having received information transmitted from afar. What's beginning? Is there more food coming? Katarina, who was eating happily on the side, looked confused upon hearing Yu Xian talking to himself. Hey, it's nothing. There's dessert over there, do you want some? Yes, I do. The food in this place is just too delicious. Tony Stark was kidnapped, Katarina exclaimed, and the fork in her hand fell into her plate with a clatter, making a crisp sound. She stared at the TV screen in disbelief. The news was scrolling with reports of Tony Stark's disappearance, with a picture of the place where his happy horse exploded, littered with vehicle wreckage. This is impossible, Captain, you clearly said there would be no problems. Katarina's voice trembled slightly. She turned to look at Yu Xian, hoping to get an answer from him. Yu Xian unhurriedly cut off a piece of roasted meat, put it in his mouth, and chewed carefully, as if the news on TV had nothing to do with him. Calm down, Katerina. Yu Xian swallowed the food and wiped the corners of his mouth with a napkin. Isn't this exactly what we expected? By now, Nick Fury should know the news too, right? Expected. Katerina's eyes widened. Captain, you knew about this early on. Ring ring tilde. A series of urgent phone rings interrupted Katerina. Yu Xian's phone rang at the right time, with the words, Nick Fury, flashing on the screen. Hello, Director Nick Fury. Yu Xian waited a moment before answering the phone. Yu Xian, regarding Tony Stark's situation, what progress has Team Y made? Nick Fury's voice carried anxiety and doubt. He never expected that even after sending people to watch, something could still go wrong. Don't worry, Director Nick Fury, the situation is still under control. Tony won't have any issues. Yu Xian's mouth curled up slightly. Believe that you will see the results very soon. It better be. Nick Fury's voice was deep and husky. Tony Stark is no ordinary person. His disappearance will inevitably cause a huge uproar. I hope you understand the seriousness of the matter. The Middle East is counting on you. This time, don't hold back. Understood, Director. Yu Xian hung up the phone, the smile on his face growing wider. Next, I'll just wait slowly until Tony and the other guy successfully build the Mark I armor. That will be the time for me to close the net. I hope these two are a bit slow in building the armor. That way I can slack off for a while longer. Detected that the host is delaying the mission and is in a happy mood. Pleasure value plus 500. Katerina looked at Yu Xian, who was wearing a mysterious smile, her heart filled with confusion and unease. She really didn't understand. Why could the captain be so calm, as if everything was under his control? Is this guy hiding something from me again? Captain, we really can't wait any longer. It's been so long. Katerina paced back and forth in the hotel room, her blonde hair swaying slightly with her rapid movements. Tony Stark has been kidnapped for 3 whole months. Can't we do something? Yu Xian was lying on the sofa in the luxury suite, switching TV channels with one hand while holding a bowl of Middle Eastern dessert in the other. What's the rush? That guy Tony is tough as nails. Without going through some trials, how could Iron Man be born? He scooped a large spoonful of dessert into his mouth and mumbled vaguely, besides, aren't we monitoring him? Monitoring. Katerina stopped pacing, looked at Yu Xian, who was sunk into the sofa, and put her hands on her hips. You call this monitoring? We don't even know where Tony is. Yu Xian swallowed the food in his mouth and lazily yawned. I know, he's in a cave. What? Katerina froze. How do you know that? I knew you were up to something behind our backs. And when we first arrived in the Middle East, those birds, those rats, don't think I didn't see them. What exactly have you been doing in private? Yu Xian smiled mysteriously. Don't worry about that. I'll take you to a good place tonight to relax. Detected that the host is teasing a subordinate and feeling happy. Pleasure value plus 50. Night fell, and the most famous nightclub in the Middle East, Desert Rose, was brightly lit. Yu Xian dragged a reluctant Katerina into the nightclub, where deafening music immediately surrounded them. On the dance floor, men and women from various countries were twisting their bodies to the rhythm, with lights flashing on them. Captain, we're here to execute a mission. Katerina had to shout into Yu Xian's ear. This is part of the mission. Yu Xian handed her a cocktail. Relax, little kitty, you're too tense. Katerina hesitated for a moment, then took the glass and took a small sip. The spicy heat of the alcohol spread through her body, and she unconsciously relaxed her shoulders. Maybe the people here know something. You can go gather intelligence. Yu Xian leaned close to her ear, the hot air making the blonde girl's ear itch. This is also part of the job. Of course, this is the job I gave you, not Nick Fury's job. Katerina nodded half believingly and took another sip of alcohol. After a few drinks, her cheeks flushed, and her eyes became unfocused. Katerina began to sway gently to the music, her blonde hair shining under the lights. Under the influence of alcohol, Katerina shed her usual reserve and showed a side of herself that was rarely seen. Her slender, fair legs, wrapped in tight jeans, outlined perfect curves as they swayed lightly with the music. Her waist was slender and soft, and every twist had an aesthetic rhythm. I didn't expect you to be so good at dancing. The corners of Yu Xian's mouth curled up slightly. It seems his modification plan was quite effective. Katerina rolled her eyes at him. I was a member of the dance club in college. Yu Xian shook his head with a smile. While Katerina wasn't paying attention, he quietly took a small piece of cheese out of his pocket and placed it on the ground. A small gray mouse darted out and snatched the cheese. "How is it, little guy?" Yu Xian asked in a low voice, activating the whisper fruit ability. "Squeak squeak, Tony and that doctor are building a metal man," the mouse replied. "How is the progress?" "Squeak, it's almost done, but those bad guys keep urging them." Yu Xian nodded, signaling the little guy to leave. He gently swirled the glass in his hand, the red liquid spinning inside. "A toast to our Iron Man." Meanwhile, in a cave somewhere in the Middle East, Tony Stark was sweating profusely, his hammer constantly striking the metal plate, and the electromagnet on his chest emitted a faint blue light. With the help of Dr. Ethan, he had successfully created the arc reactor. "Tony, drink some water first." Dr. Ethan handed over a glass of water, saying with concern. Tony took the glass and drank it in one gulp. "There's no time left, Ethan. We have to hurry. Tony, if we get out, what are you going to do?" Tony stopped his work and looked up at Ethan. "Change the direction of Stark Industries. I'm going to shut down the weapons division." Boom. Just then, the iron door of the cave was kicked open roughly. Raza, the leader of the 10 Rings, stood at the door, scanning the entire dungeon with sinister eyes. "Stark, how is the progress?" Raza asked sharply. "When will my Jericho missile be finished?" Tony stood up as if nothing had happened and wiped the oil off his hands. "The missile takes time, it's almost done, just wait a little longer." Raza sneered, signaled his subordinates to grab Ethan, and dragged him in front of Tony. "Maybe you need some extra motivation." He took a burning hot coal from the furnace, held it up to Ethan, and looked at him grimly. "Why do you disappoint me? I let you live, is this how you repay me? Do you think I'm an idiot? I'll figure it out. Come on, open your mouth." Seeing this scene, Tony couldn't help but call out, "What are you doing?" Ethan looked at the burning coal in front of him, trembling, and shouted, we're working. He's making the Jericho missile for you. He's making the Jericho missile for you." Tony looked at the two arguing, stepped forward under the guns of the 10 Rings, and said to Raza, "I need him." Raza looked at the two silently. "Assemble my missile by tomorrow." Then he left with his subordinates. The iron door was closed again, and the sound of chains echoed in the cave. The two looked at each other, silently picked up the welding torch, and continued their work. As sparks flew, the prototype of the Mark I armor gradually took shape. In a corner they didn't notice, a gray mouse was watching their every move intently. Back to the Desert Rose nightclub. Katerina was tired of dancing and was sitting at the bar resting. Yu Xian walked over and handed her a glass of water. "How is it, do you feel better?" Katerina took the glass and sipped it. "Much better. However, I'm still worried about Tony." "Don't worry, he'll make a move soon." Katerina looked at him suspiciously. "How do you know?" Yu Xian smiled and didn't answer. He just patted the girl's shoulder. "Have some patience, wait a little longer, wait a little longer." Katerina wanted to say something, but finally just sighed. She didn't know where the captain's confidence came from, but she could only choose to believe him. "Captain, if something really happens to Tony, we'll be scolded to death by the director." Yu Xian shrugged. "Then let them scold, it's not the first time anyway." Katerina couldn't help but laugh. "You really are hopeless." Detected that the host is coaxing a subordinate and feeling happy, pleasure value plus 100. The next day, on a hill a few kilometers away from the cave where Tony Stark was trapped. "They are almost finished." Yu Xian put down the binoculars in his hand, leaned against the Humvee vehicle, and looked relaxed. Happy times are always so short. This trip to the Middle East can finally come to an end. "Captain, what should we do? Should we go directly to rescue Tony Stark?" Katerina, who did not know that Iron Man was about to be born, was lost due to a lack of intelligence. "No, just stay here and watch a good show. Now is not the time for me to act. The moment Tony Stark comes out of the cave will be the time for me to act." Listening to the sounds coming from the mountains in the distance from time to time, the corners of Yu Xian's mouth rose slightly. Has it already begun? Detected that the host is in a happy mood because of the upcoming scene, pleasure value plus 500. Inside the cave, Tony Stark and Ethan gathered all their strength and finally completed the final welding work. The Mark I Iron Man suit was finally formed. This bulky, powerful mechanical shell was Tony Stark's last hope. Can it move? Ethan, after Tony Stark entered the armor, began to debug it. The 10 Rings discovered that Tony Stark was no longer on the monitor. Raza was furious and sent people to check. Program starting. Power supply normal. Hydraulic system normal. Weapon system. Tony Stark's voice came from the heavy helmet of the Iron Man suit. Outside the iron door, the 10 Rings members had already arrived, shouting, "Ethan! Ethan! Stark! Stark!" The 10 Rings members looked through the iron door and saw Ethan busy with something. A bad premonition arose in their hearts, and they hurriedly opened the iron door. Boom! As soon as the 10 Rings members took a step forward, they were blown away by the bomb set by the two in advance. The rumbling sound echoed throughout the cave, and smoke filled the air. At the same time, the alarm sounded suddenly. Raza discovered the situation and was completely furious. The entire base fell into chaos. Tony Stark looked at the busy Ethan in front of him, sweat beading on his forehead, his voice dry. "Go start the power program." Okay. Ethan was sweating profusely. After some operation, he found that the program progress bar began to rise, but the progress was slow. No, we need time. Looking at the slowly rising progress bar, Ethan suddenly seemed to understand something. "Hey, I'll go buy you some time." As he said that, without waiting for Tony Stark to answer, he picked up a gun from the ground and rushed out. Leaving Tony Stark alone, he roared on the spot, "Ethan, Ethan!" Outside, on the hill. It has started. Through the whisper fruit ability, Yu Xian knew that Ethan had set off, and his mind moved. A mouse in the distant cave received the signal, holding a bean in its hand, and ran towards the outside quickly. Blue item. Senzu bean, 1 star. At 1 star, it can keep a dying person alive and put them in a state of suspended animation. At full stars, it can instantly recover from severe physical injuries, ineffective for those already dead, infinite for diseases, ineffective for those with continental level or higher abilities. Go, 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 go. Not good. What is this? The 10 Rings members looked at the Iron Man suit in front of them, fear surging in their hearts, and the guns in their hands fired bullets at the opponent. Rat-tat-tat-tat-tat. Boom. Explosions, gunshots, the mechanical operation sounds of the Mark I, and the shouts of the 10 Rings members were intertwined. Hum, hum, hum. At the corner leading to the ground, a silver Iron Man suit walked out slowly. Ethan, Tony Stark, through the iron mask, discovered Ethan, who had been shot and fallen to the ground. Boom. With a casual shot, he blasted away the 10 Rings members opposite him. Tony Stark came to Ethan's side. "Ethan, come on, we should go." "Move," we agreed. "Follow the plan." Tears welled up in Tony Stark's eyes. "My plan was always like this, Stark." No, you still have to see your family." "Stark, listen to me. My family is all dead," Ethan said weakly. "I am going to see them, Stark." "It's okay, I hope so." Ethan looked at Tony Stark's heartbroken expression and slowly uttered his last sentence. "Don't waste it, don't waste your life." As soon as he finished speaking, Ethan's head tilted to one side, and his eyes became hollow. Ha tilde ha tilde ha. Tony Stark looked at the deceased Ethan, his heart filled with great sorrow, and he gasped for breath. He turned his head to look at the light leading to the ground exit, a flash of cold light in his eyes. Quick, quick, quick. Keep up, keep up. The 10 Rings members on the ground surrounded the cave entrance, and saw an Iron Man suit walk out from inside. Tony Stark came out, roared, stood up, and the flamethrower of the Mark I armor activated. He was prepared to use up the last of his energy to go down with the entire 10 Rings. Just at this moment, it started to snow slowly in the sky. A figure in black descended from the sky and landed between Tony Stark and the 10 Rings warriors. The black-clad figure held the sword at his waist with his right hand. "Bankai, Dagurin Hirenmaru," the black-clad figure whispered softly. The voice was not loud, but it clearly entered the ears of everyone present. Hum tilde. In an instant, a massive cold air erupted violently with the black-clad figure as the center, and the snowflakes falling in the sky became even more violent. Katarina, who was hundreds of meters away, only felt a chill that penetrated to her bones strike instantly, making her unable to help but hug her arms tightly, seeking warmth. She discovered with horror that tiny frost had actually condensed on her eyelashes. And the 10 Rings members who were in the center of the cold air experienced the feeling of being between ice and fire. 1 second ago, the air was still scorching, and the next second, it was like falling into an ice cellar. This strong physical contrast caused their brains to go blank. Tony Stark heard the person who had his back to him say to him, "Mr. Tony Stark, I am a Level 7 agent of the Strategic Homeland Intervention, Enforcement and Logistics Division, Yu Xian. On the orders of our director, I have come to rescue you." The black-clad figure did not stop moving. Behind him, a pair of huge ice crystal dragon wings slowly unfolded, like an angel descending to the mortal world. The sword guard in his hand turned into the shape of a 12-petaled lotus, the chain at the end of the hilt turned into an ice crystal chain, and a crescent moon ice crystal hung at the end. Tony Stark's eyes widened as he looked at this supernatural scene before him. He felt that he must be hallucinating. The black-clad figure ignored everyone's shock. He raised the long sword in his hand and pointed it at the sky. Hayaten Hayakaso. As soon as the black-clad figure finished speaking, the 10 Rings members discovered with horror that ice sculptures of various shapes were rising all around them. The snowflakes from the sky fell on the ground, and the ground instantly froze. They fell on the walls, and the walls instantly froze. They fell on people, and the people instantly turned into ice sculptures. The 10 Rings members wanted to run away, but discovered that their feet were already frozen to the ground and they could not move. "No. Don't. Help. Help. Save me. What is this? Everyone find cover." The 10 Rings members screamed in despair, and some people wanted to dodge this inexplicable attack. But this was meaningless. From the moment Yu Xian arrived, their fate was already sealed. In just a few seconds, the entire 10 Rings base, no one was spared. They were all frozen into lifelike ice sculptures, completely sealing and preserving the terrified expressions of the 10 Rings members. Done. Job finished. Detected that the host shocked Iron Man and is in a happy mood. Pleasure value plus 5000. "Mr. Tony Stark." Yu Xian's voice rang out. The ice crystal dragon wings behind him slowly retracted and finally vanished. The Hirenmaru in his hand also returned to the appearance of an ordinary long blade. Tony remained standing there, stunned. Beneath the faceplate of the Mark I armor, his gaze was vacant. Everything that had just happened was completely beyond his comprehension. Was this magic? Who are you? Tony's voice was somewhat hoarse as he struggled to calm the shock within his heart. Yu Xian sheathed Hirenmaru, walked to the front of Tony, and took off his sunglasses, revealing a young and handsome face. "I am an agent of the Strategic Homeland Intervention, Enforcement and Logistics Division, also called SHIELD, a Level 7 agent. You can call me Yu Xian." Tony frowned deeply. Strategic Homeland Intervention, Enforcement and Logistics Division. Why have I never heard of this department? Of course you haven't heard of it, Yu Xian shrugged, because we are a secret department that specializes in handling supernatural events. He pointed to the ice sculptures around them, for example, like this. Tony looked around. Those 10 Rings members who had been frozen into ice sculptures still maintained their expressions of terror from before they died, lifelike, just like exquisite works of art. How did you do this? Are you a magician? Aside from magic, he couldn't think of anything that could more accurately describe this scene. Tony's voice trembled slightly. He couldn't imagine how a person could possess such powerful strength. Yu Xian nodded, not denying it. Magician isn't bad. When my identity as a magician spreads in the future, and the enemies I encounter all think I'm a squishy mage and come for close quarters combat, I reckon I can trick a lot of people. Tony was now full of questions. Why did you save me? At someone's request, Yu Xian flashed a mysterious smile. Someone didn't want to see you get into trouble. Who? Nick Fury, the director of SHIELD. Yu Xian gave the name of Nick Fury. He believes you are very important to this country. Tony sneered. Important? Important enough to ignore my life and death and let me be kidnapped. And after so many days have passed, where were you? If you could have been a little earlier, Ethan wouldn't have died. This was just an accident, Yu Xian explained. We didn't expect the 10 Rings to be so bold as to make a move on you. Of course, I have to exclude myself from this. He walked to Tony's side and patted the shoulder of the Mark I armor. However, you don't need to worry too much. The strength of our shield is far beyond your imagination. To increase persuasiveness, Yu Xian activated his ability again. He extended his right hand, using ice make magic. A lifelike ice lotus bloomed, emitting a faint chill. This is just a small demonstration. Yu Xian retracted his ability. Shield possesses many powers you cannot imagine, and I am one of them. Tony looked at the ice lotus dissolving in Yu Xian's hand, his eyes becoming unusually complex. He had to admit that this young man with black hair in front of him, as well as the shield behind him, had indeed shattered his perception and allowed him to see a different world. A magical, fantastical world. He had to say, he was attracted to it. Mr. Stark, Yu Xian interrupted Tony's thoughts, this is not a place to stay for long, we need to evacuate quickly. Yu Xian pointed to the sky. Everything that happened here will be spread very soon. If people with ulterior motives find out, it will cause further waves. We need to take you away safely before they react. Upon hearing this, Tony took a deep breath, trying to calm himself down. He knew Yu Xian was right, this was no place to stay. Fine, let's go. Yu Xian nodded and turned to walk in the direction of Katerina. By the way, Mr. Stark, can you give me this suit of armor? Yu Xian suddenly stopped, turned his head, and asked Tony. Tony was stunned. What? I said, this armor. Yu Xian pointed to the Mark I armor on his body. It's broken anyway, why not give it to me so I can go back and study it? The Mark I armor is good stuff. Now the 10 rings have been wiped out because of me, and Tony didn't take off and smash the armor to pieces. So later, Obadiah Stane won't have a place to get this thing. Although this thing isn't too important, without this as a stepping stone, how can he continue his most important reactor sale plan? This won't do. This plot needs to get back on its original track for me, I want to make a small magical modification. Instead of relying on the plot collected by the 10 rings, can't I just deliver it myself? This is the perfect opportunity for extortion. I want to make a fortune out of Obadiah Stane. Haha, you don't want the armor. Do you know what a reactor is? Do you want it? If you want it, I won't do it unless you pay to buy the armor. Tony looked at Yu Xian's serious expression, and the corner of his mouth twitched. This guy really is a freak. This thing is useless to anyone but himself, why would he want this piece of junk? Take it, Tony said indifferently, it's useless to me anyway. Thanks, Yu Xian grinned, you really are a generous person. Detected that the host has freeloaded off Iron Man, mood is pleasant, pleasure value plus 1000. Click, click tilde, click, click tilde. Just then, a helicopter appeared in the distant sky. Phew, Tony let out a long breath, he could finally leave. Yu Xian looked at the Iron Man in front of him and said, Mr. Stark, it's time for you to go back. What about Ethan? Tony's voice came through the faceplate, carrying a trace of hoarseness. Him. Yu Xian hesitated, then pointed to Ethan, who had been frozen and retrieved nearby, we will send him home. Tony fell silent. He looked at the frozen Ethan, his heart filled with mixed feelings. Let's go. Breaking the silence, Yu Xian walked towards Katerina first. Katerina looked at Yu Xian's back and couldn't help but speak. Captain, you acted without authorization again. Yu Xian stopped, turned his head, and looked innocent. What are you talking about? I don't understand. Katerina looked at Yu Xian, who was playing dumb, and felt a burst of frustration. You guy, do you still consider me one of your own? You don't say anything, you don't say anything. Yu Xian sensed the girl's emotions were off, so he stopped teasing her and replied, after Tony leaves, I will tell you. Don't worry, I said I would tell you everything, so I won't hide it. Katerina glared at Yu Xian angrily, but she couldn't do anything about him. When the helicopter in the distance arrived, Lieutenant Call Rhodes got off, immediately gave Tony a hug, and joked, Humvee. Yu Xian watched the helicopter fly away. He walked to Katerina's side and patted her shoulder gently, all right, stop being angry. Now the choice is in your hands. I need your help with something, but if you help with this, you will be bound to me for the rest of your life. I need you to absorb it and save Dr. Ethan. Yu Xian took an item out of his pocket, which was the only purple item he had, arrow. Legendary purple. JoJo series arrow using it grants a partial stand ability, Crazy Diamond. Katerina stared at the arrow in Yu Xian's hand. It was a bizarre arrow, covered in spikes and mysterious patterns, resembling the face of some ancient creature, faintly exuding an ominous aura. She hesitated. Ever since she joined Team Y and became Yu Xian's subordinate, she had felt that her life had deviated from its original track. Every day, she was not only dealing with all sorts of bizarre reports but also forced to be brainwashed by his philosophy of slacking off. Being Yu Xian's tool was already miserable enough, and now she had to be bound to him for life. But thinking of the various magical abilities Yu Xian had demonstrated before, and the current state of Dr. Ethan, Katarina's gaze fell on the ice sculpture nearby, watching the doctor's peaceful expression. Ethan, a hero who sacrificed himself to save Tony Stark. Katarina's eyes gradually grew firm. She remembered her original intention for joining S.H.I.E.L.D., to fight crime and uphold justice. Katarina gritted her teeth and took the arrow. So what if it's binding? As long as she could save people and do more righteous things, what did binding matter? Besides, she also felt a hint of curiosity and anticipation for this unknown power. Katarina reached out and took the arrow. Its cold touch made her heart tremble. PFF'd. As soon as the arrow touched Katarina's palm, under Yu Xian's guidance, it pierced through her hand, sank into it, and vanished. Ah! Katarina let out a scream, the intense pain nearly causing her to faint. She felt something growing and expanding wildly inside her body, as if it were about to burst out. Hold on. Katarina clenched her teeth, enduring the pain, veins bulging on her forehead. At this moment, Yu Xian reached out, tightly gripping Katarina's hands, and activated Ice Make Magic, sending waves of comfortable, cooling magic spreading through her body. The cool sensation acted like a sedative, alleviating her pain. Katarina's breathing gradually stabilized, and her consciousness slowly returned. Once the pain receded and completely disappeared, a translucent humanoid phantom appeared behind Katarina, emitting a faint glow. Is this a stand ability? Katarina looked at the phantom behind her, feeling the unknown power surging within her, and was struck with awe. That's right, your stand is Crazy Diamond, which possesses powerful restoration abilities, Yu Xian explained. Although you just awakened and your ability isn't stable yet, it's enough to save Ethan. To help Katarina understand her ability more intuitively, Yu Xian used Ice Make Magic again to create an exquisite ice blade. Give it a try. Yu Xian snapped the ice blade and handed it to Katarina. Katarina reached out and activated her stand ability. The Crazy Diamond stand appeared, extended its finger, and placed it on the ice blade. A flash of golden light passed, and the broken ice blade instantly restored, as good as new. That's amazing, Katarina exclaimed, looking at the Crazy Diamond stand before her in disbelief. Of course, this ability also has its flaws. It cannot be used on yourself, and using it on the dead can only restore the physical body, the soul cannot return. You must keep this in mind, Yu Xian warned. As for now, it's time to save Dr. Ethan. Yu Xian looked at the ice sculpture of Ethan nearby. Originally, Ethan should have died after suffering the gunshot wounds, but thanks to the weakened senzu bean that the mouse minion fed him, he managed to hang on to his life, successfully misleading Tony. Katarina nodded and came before Dr. Ethan's ice sculpture. Yu Xian activated the Hirenmaru ability, instantly releasing him from the frozen state. Dr. Ethan's lifeless body was revealed. Katarina took one look, took a deep breath, went in front of Dr. Ethan, and softly said, "Restore." The Crazy Diamond stand appeared and instantly unleashed a flurry of punches. Dora. Dr. Ethan's body, riddled with gunshot wounds, recovered at a visible speed, followed by his internal organs. Ding, ding, ding. In an instant, Ethan's injuries were completely healed, and the bullets inside his body were pushed out, falling to the ground. Thump, thump, thump. 1, 2, 3. Ethan's heart, which had stopped beating, began to regain vitality. Afterward, Yu Xian explained the ins and outs of this mission to Katarina. Of course, he didn't mention that he had transmigrated here and knew the plot development. That sounded like too much nonsense. After a long while, "Let's go, it's time to return," Yu Xian said. "That guy Tony is probably already on the plane back." "Wait, Captain," Katarina suddenly called out to Yu Xian. "What is it?" "That, the Mark I armor, how do you plan to handle it?" "Of course, return it to its owner, and extort a sum of money while I'm at it." Yu Xian wore the expression of a little fox. Detected that the host is in a pleasant mood because they are about to scam someone, pleasure value plus 200. Sunlight spilled over the land of California as a private jet slowly landed. The cabin door opened, and Tony Stark's figure appeared. His face was covered in scars, he was wearing a black suit, his beard was stubbly, and his expression was weary, yet he could not hide the firm gaze between his brows. This was a form of strong conviction. Under the plane, Pepper's eyes were turning red as she watched Tony return safely. Tony came before her, the corners of his mouth lifting slightly. Eyes red, shedding tears for your long-lost boss. Pepper said happily, these are tears of joy. I hate job hunting. Get in the car first, this isn't the place to talk. Rhodes escorted Tony into a black sedan. Cheeseburger, I want a cheeseburger. Tony leaned back in the seat and closed his eyes. Also, arrange a press conference immediately. Cheeseburger, are you sure? Pepper was a bit surprised. Sure, very sure. Tony's voice carried a hint of unquestionable authority. Okay, whatever you say. Pepper shrugged and said to the driver, go to the burger joint first, then to the company. Stark Industries headquarters, press conference venue. Tony, Mr. Stark, welcome back. Camera flashes flickered madly as reporters swarmed forward, surrounding Tony tightly. The cheers of the crowd rose and fell, holding up signs to express their welcome and respect for this genius inventor. Yu Xian and Katerina, who had arrived at the scene a step before Tony, happened to see Tony getting out of the car while eating a cheeseburger. A burger? Is this guy being too casual? Katerina watched Tony devouring his food, the corners of her mouth twitching slightly. This guy is really one of a kind. Haha, that's Tony for you. Yu Xian knew that Tony was using his own way to announce his return. Detected that the host is in a pleasant mood watching Iron Man eat a burger, pleasure value plus 50. Mr. Stark, do you have anything to say about this kidnapping incident? A reporter asked first. Tony put down the burger in his hand and wiped the sauce from the corner of his mouth. What I want to say is that this experience has allowed me to re-evaluate myself and also re-evaluate Stark Industries. I saw the destruction caused by our weapons, and saw innocent people lose their lives because of it. Tony's expression became serious. I can no longer sit idly by. Therefore, I have decided, Tony paused and raised his voice, to close the weapons manufacturing division of Stark Industries. Effective immediately. Not expecting Tony to say such a thing, Obadiah Stane, who was on the side, turned ashen-faced. He never expected that Tony would make such a decision. Pepper below also had an expression of disbelief, completely failing to understand Tony's actions. What? Close the weapons division? Mr. Stark, are you serious? The scene was in an uproar. Reporters whispered to each other, unable to believe their ears. Yes, I am very serious, Tony said firmly. Stark Industries will no longer manufacture any weapons. Until I have decided on the company's future. But, Mr. Stark, the weapons division is the pillar industry of Stark Industries. Doing this will cause the company to suffer heavy losses. A reporter questioned loudly. I know, Tony nodded, but, there are some things that are more important than money. For example, conscience. Captain, that guy Tony is really unexpected. Katerina looked at the high-spirited Tony and couldn't help but exclaim. That is Tony Stark. Yu Xian smiled. A genius, a madman, a hero. After the press conference, the news of Tony Stark deciding to shut down the weapons manufacturing division of Stark Industries was like a bombshell, instantly detonating public opinion across society. Voices of doubt, criticism, and mockery from the outside world spread rapidly through various media channels. Stark has gone mad. This is digging his own grave. Stark Industries is finished. The generals at the Pentagon demanded that Stark Industries immediately resume weapon supplies, threatening to cancel all orders from Stark Industries and possibly even take compulsory measures against Tony Stark. Members of Congress issued public statements one after another, accusing Tony Stark's decision of being too childish. A weapons company that doesn't sell weapons. The financial tycoons on Wall Street were dumbfounded and began selling off Stark Industries stock. Competitors in the arms industry secretly rejoiced, seeing a golden opportunity to carve up Stark Industries' market share. Only a few days passed. Countless investors were frantically selling off Stark Industries stock, fearing they would become the final bag holders. The trillion-dollar market value of Stark Industries plummeted. It fell right at the opening bell, and after several consecutive trading days, it hit rock bottom, with more than half of its market value evaporated, leaving only 20% of its peak period. Sell quickly, sell all the Stark Industries stock. It's over, it's all over, my pension is gone. Tony Stark, you lunatic. Wall Street was wailing, and countless people were ruined as a result. Team Y office. Yu Xian was leisurely drinking coffee, watching the news on TV about the plummeting stock price of Stark Industries. He knew it was time to make a move. It's good that it's falling, the more it falls, the better. It was worth investing all his assets into it. Captain, are you sure you want to do this? Although the current stock price has shrunk significantly compared to before, but... Katerina looked at the red numbers on her phone that kept falling, her face pale. She had put all her savings, along with her parents' pension money, into the stock market to buy Stark Industries stock in bulk. Looking at the stocks that kept flashing red, she still felt uneasy. Yu Xian closed his magazine, the corners of his mouth curling up slightly. Rest assured. This is only temporary. Trust me, this is definitely the easiest investment you will ever make in your life. You can choose not to believe me, but you must believe in Tony Stark. That guy is a super genius. All right, Katerina sighed. At this point, she could only choose to believe in Yu Xian. Detected that the host is happy about bottom fishing the investment, pleasure value plus 500. Stark Industries, Chairman's office. Obadiah Stane sat behind the large desk, his expression dreadfully gloomy. He watched the stock curve jumping on the computer screen, the anger in his heart almost consuming him. This was all his money. That idiot Tony. Obadiah Stane slammed the table hard. What on earth is he trying to do? Knock tilde knock tilde knock tilde. Just then, the office door was knocked. Obadiah Stane forced himself to calm down. Come in. Tap tilde tap tilde tap tilde. A young man in black carrying a suitcase walked in. Who are you? Obadiah Stane frowned, looking at the strange young Asian man with black hair in front of him. What do you want to do? How did you get in here? Those things are not important. Yu Xian took off his sunglasses, revealing an innocent expression. You only need to know that I have what you want in my hands, and I can help you solve your problem. Oh, you can help me. Obadiah Stane sneered. Why should I trust you? Yu Xian took a video player out of his pocket and placed it gently on the table. Just because of this, Mark I armor. Obadiah Stane looked at it suspiciously. The screen lit up, and a combat video appeared on it. In the video, a bulky steel armor was fiercely fighting people, spraying flames and firing bullets, invincible. Obadiah Stane's eyes widened instantly, and his breathing began to quicken. This is Mark I armor. Obadiah Stane's voice trembled slightly. He didn't expect it to be the armor prototype he had been longing for. He had learned through special channels that Tony had used a steel armor to break through a blockade. He had originally intended to go to the Middle East to look for it, but now, there was no need. Yu Xian nodded. That's right. This is the steel armor Tony Stark built when he was kidnapped in the Middle East. How about it? Are you interested in a trade? Obadiah Stane stared intently at Yu Xian's eyes, trying to see something in them. However, he was disappointed. He only saw calmness as deep as an abyss. Obadiah Stane asked in return, how do you have this? You don't need to worry about that. Yu Xian shrugged, pointing at the armor in the video. I just want to ask you, do you want this thing? Obadiah Stane fell silent. Of course he wanted it. This armor technology was enough to change the landscape of the entire arms industry and could allow Stark Industries to surpass its past. With this technology, it could even make him the master of the world. What exactly do you want? Obadiah Stane couldn't gauge the young man's terms, but he knew there was no such thing as a free lunch, and the guy in front of him had successfully intrigued him. I want money. Yu Xian held up a finger. A lot of money. How much? $10 billion plus 8% of Stark Industries shares. Yu Xian demanded an exorbitant price. You're crazy. Obadiah Stane almost jumped up. Why don't you just go rob someone? How can robbing come as fast as this? Yu Xian said with a smile. Besides, I believe you can afford this price. We have follow-up transactions. Don't you want to know what drives it? This is just our first transaction. If we cooperate happily in the future, some things are not impossible. Yu Xian reached out and tapped his own chest. Obadiah Stane's expression was gloomy and uncertain, but he knew Yu Xian was right. The value of the Mark I armor was far from being measured by money. No, it should be said to be the energy source it represented behind it. As long as he mastered this armor technology, he could dominate the global arms market and rebuild the hegemonic status of Stark Industries. By then, money would just be a number. No, I don't have that much money right now. I can only offer $5 billion and 5% of shares. Also, I want to see the physical goods first. Obadiah Stane gritted his teeth and said. His heart was bleeding. This was money he had accumulated in the black market for many years, uncontrolled and spendable at will. This instantly made his wallet shrink, and his assets suffered a serious loss. Deal. Yu Xian immediately agreed upon hearing his counter-offer. Sure enough, when you want to achieve your goal, as long as you give a counter-offer that exceeds others' expectations, they will automatically show their greatest sincerity. The compromise method of the ancestors is still useful and works every time. Then Yu Xian placed the suitcase he had with him on the table and opened it with a bang. Look, these are parts of the Mark I armor. As for the rest, as soon as I receive the money, they will immediately be yours. Obadiah Stane did not speak, but impatiently took out the metal parts one by one and carefully arranged them. Deep inside the box, a steel mask was staring at him, and the outline of the steel armor from the video could be vaguely seen. Very good. Obadiah Stane's eyes flashed with greed, and he gave the young man opposite him a subtle look. How could he get the thing behind this person that represented the pinnacle of energy? Being taken advantage of was not his character. A piece of armor actually cost him so much money. Suddenly, the young man's cold, emotionless voice came to his ears. I hope you don't have any crooked ideas. I believe you are unwilling to bear the consequences. As soon as the voice fell, Obadiah Stane discovered that his office desk was covered in spreading frost. In an instant, it was tightly wrapped in a layer of ice. Obadiah Stane looked at this scene, his face turning livid, and he instantly put aside those thoughts he shouldn't have. Deal, but I want to inspect these things one by one. Payment upon delivery. Detected that the host is extremely happy about getting something for nothing, pleasure value plus 1000. The next day, at the Shield branch, a text message notification sounded on Yu Xian's phone. Ding, the funds have arrived in your account. He picked up his phone to check, the corners of his mouth curling upward uncontrollably. The first reward was in hand. How comfortable. $5 billion had entered his offshore account, and the transfer procedures for 5% of Stark Industries shares were also complete. The amount displayed on the screen instantly put Yu Xian in a great mood. Detected that the host is in a pleasant mood due to a large payment, pleasure value plus 5000. Captain, did it really work? Katerina, standing nearby, looked at the numbers on Yu Xian's phone in disbelief. The blonde girl's blue eyes were full of astonishment. Heavens, he just resold a piece of junk that Tony didn't want. In this world, is it really that easy to make money from the rich? Yesterday, when Yu Xian set out, he had already told Katerina everything about his plan to resell the mech. And he told her that Obadiah Stane was the mastermind behind the illegal arms trade and the culprit behind Tony's kidnapping. Of course it's true. Do you think I'm joking with you? Yu Xian shook his phone triumphantly. Katerina, now we are truly rich. I'll deposit $1 billion first as the team's operating fund, and use the rest to buy Stark Industries stock. The highest state of slacking off is lying down and making money without having to work. Katerina frowned, her face full of confusion. That Obadiah doesn't look simple. Would he trust you so easily? Yu Xian chuckled and patted her on the shoulder. You're still too naive. He didn't trust me, he was just blinded by profit. When a person sees something they dream of, their reason is devoured by greed. I just ignited his desire. Besides, why do you think he paid so readily? The mech alone certainly isn't enough, but what if we add a second transaction, the arc reactor built by Tony? Yu Xian continued with a meaningful smile, leaving the rest of his words unsaid. Besides, I don't just want these things. I'm going to bleed this ambitious man dry. Occupying such a huge advantage, if I don't develop well, I'd really be doing a disservice to the face of a transmigrator. Katerina wanted to say something but stopped, hesitating for a moment before asking worriedly, can Stark Industries stock really rise back up? Don't worry, it will definitely rise back up. Yu Xian stretched and loosened his muscles. Tony Stark is no ordinary person. He will soon give the market a big surprise. Let's go. Change your clothes, and let's go see how Iron Man's mech is progressing. Since I have Obadiah's mech, I need to get the arc reactor for him quickly. I'm still waiting for the next transaction. Malibu Seaside Villa, inside Tony's laboratory. Countdown 3, 2, 1. Ah! With a loud boom, Tony, wearing the semi-finished steel armor, slammed into the ceiling and crashed heavily onto the floor, sending sparks flying. Jarvis's voice sounded. Sir, I suggest you adjust the thruster power. Do you think I don't know that? Tony scrambled up in a sorry state, removing his faceplate, his face covered in dust. Just then, the laboratory's glass door was pushed open, and led by Pepper, Yu Xian and Katerina walked in. Hee, it seems you've fully recovered, Tony. The storm outside hasn't affected you in the slightest. I'm very relieved. Yu Xian looked at the disheveled Tony and chuckled. Relieved that he could start the second step of the reactor recovery plan. Tony turned around, and upon seeing it was Yu Xian, responded with a bit of vigilance and curiosity. Yu Xian. You, the agent who can use ice magic, what are you doing here? Are you planning to change careers and make magical tech products? Yu Xian shrugged, his expression very relaxed. Is this how you treat your savior? Won't you offer me a cup of coffee? Tony glanced at the other person's overly familiar manner, raised an eyebrow, and pointed to the coffee machine nearby. The coffee is there, pour it yourself. Hee, even his own little secretary hadn't enjoyed his service, and you want to try it? Yu Xian had no choice but to pour himself a cup of coffee, examining the new armor Tony was building. I came here in passing, but actually, we are quite interested in that little gadget on your chest. Tony subconsciously touched the arc reactor on his chest. This thing. Yes, that's it. A small piece of thing, yet it contains so much energy. I don't think anyone wouldn't be interested, right? Yu Xian narrowed his eyes, thinking about what excuse he could use to get Tony's reactor. If he could get him to let him take it, that would be great. Tony looked at the other person's relaxed expression, was silent for a moment, and suddenly said to Yu Xian, "Can you do me a favor?" "Oh, what favor?" "I need to replace the new reactor, but I can't reach the connection wire." Yu Xian blinked. "So you want me to help you replace the reactor?" The surprise came too suddenly. Yu Xian hadn't expected it. Shouldn't it have been Pepper who replaced the reactor for Tony? Why would he suddenly ask me to do it? The surprise really came too suddenly. Could it be that he left a deep impression on Tony in the Middle East? He would entrust such an important matter to him. No problem, but you shouldn't need this old reactor anymore, right? Of course, this thing is yours. You can do whatever you want with it. That's great, I hope you won't blame me later. Tony looked at Yu Xian strangely. What are you talking about? Haha, nothing, let's get started quickly. Yu Xian smiled slightly and told Tony to lie down quickly to replace the reactor. Hey, be careful with that wire. Don't touch. Ah, Tony finally started twitching all over from the electric shock. In the end, under Yu Xian's difficult replacement, the new reactor was successfully installed. The blue light on Tony's chest began to flicker non-stop. Thanks. Tony extended a hand. Yu Xian, want to go for a drink? My treat. Hee, if you're talking about that, then I'm not sleepy anymore. Yu Xian silently put away the old arc reactor, looked at Tony, and chuckled. I know a nightclub, it's full of beautiful women. Katerina rolled her eyes. You guy, here you go again. That night, the most luxurious nightclub in Los Angeles. Tony and Yu Xian each had their arms around a beautiful woman, constantly raising their glasses and drinking heavily. In the distance, crazy men and women were releasing themselves to the fullest. The beautiful woman beside Yu Xian was wearing white pants, the very thin kind, wrapping her roundness tightly, to the point where the patterns of the unmentionable things inside could almost be seen. This fair-skinned, tender beauty wore a very small white t-shirt on her upper body, revealing her white, tender navel. The low-rise pants enticed people's eyes to constantly gather downward. Her long hair was dyed rose-red with big waves, and an aura of ripeness rushed toward one's face. While Yu Xian and Tony were lost in the gentle embrace, Katerina sat alone at another table, sitting quietly as if everything outside had nothing to do with her. Katerina watched Yu Xian playing games with Tony and the others, secretly gritting her teeth. This fool, has he forgotten the director's orders? It turned out that on the first day after Tony returned home, Yu Xian received an order from Nick Fury. Yu Xian, this time you must properly monitor Tony and protect his personal safety. This person is very important in my plan. Hey, isn't it just the Avengers initiative? Protecting. I'm too good at this. Isn't it just mooching off food and drink? And since I've already gotten the mech from the Middle East this time, then I might as well go all the way and take the arc reactor built by Thor too. Who said you can't shear the same sheep twice? That only proves this sheep isn't fat enough. Obadiah Stane, this time, if I can't scam you so hard that even your grandmother wouldn't recognize you. How could I live up to the skills I've brought with me through this transmigration? Sigh, being too excellent is really a trouble. No, this won't do. You bunch of losers, that guy Tony managed to handcraft an arc reactor in a cave. And look at you all. How long has it been? How long? Obadiah Stane was currently in the factory, furiously berating a group of researchers before him. How long had it been since Tony returned? This bunch of useless fools still couldn't produce an arc reactor. Did he really have to spend his own money to buy one? Useless, they were all useless. Without this item, his army of mechs would just be a pipe dream. Did he really have to step in personally in the end and pay for peace? As Obadiah Stane frowned in thought, his peripheral vision caught a familiar figure. That vampire had finally arrived. Ha, Mr. Obadiah, it has been a long time. Yu Xian walked over from the distance, the corners of his mouth curling up slightly. What are you here for? Did you get the item? Obadiah Stane asked, looking at Yu Xian with unconcealed hatred. We agreed that once the first payment arrived, you would bring the arc reactor. Where is it? Yu Xian's smile remained unchanged as he pulled a box from his pocket. Of course, as a longtime client, I've been very dedicated. It took a great deal of effort to get this for you. As he spoke, Yu Xian handed over the box and opened it in front of Obadiah Stane. This is the arc reactor. Obadiah Stane stared at the arc reactor inside with an obsessive expression. With this prototype, he would forge it no matter the cost. Wait, what is inside is? Obadiah Stane's expression changed as he looked at the item before him. Arc reactor blueprints. Bingo, you guessed right, but unfortunately, there's no prize. Yu Xian looked at the other man with a smile like a little fox. Hey, he hadn't spent his time in the Middle East in vain. The arc reactor blueprints were another one of his achievements. Tony had no idea that his design blueprints had been seen and recorded by him. With this, even if Obadiah Stane's researchers were blockheads, they would be able to build it. He didn't believe the man wouldn't be tempted. The bait had been set, now it was just a matter of whether he would take the hook. This. Obadiah Stane looked at the reactor within easy reach, his breathing becoming rapid. With this item, his biggest problem would be solved. Obadiah Stane looked up at the unperturbed Yu Xian, his heart filled with mixed emotions. If anyone else had placed this before him and tried to negotiate terms, he would have ensured they never saw tomorrow's sun. But this black-haired young man in front of him. Obadiah Stane thought of the young man's shield status and the magic-like abilities he had displayed that day, and his heart sank. What do you want for this? Obadiah Stane had worked with him once before and knew what kind of person he was, so he didn't ask unnecessary questions and immediately asked for the terms. Hey, you finally figured it out. Then it's the same old rules, but the price, it needs to go up. 10 billion United States dollars, plus 13% of your shares. Yu Xian finally bared his fangs, ready for another big meal. Of course, considering we've had such a pleasant collaboration, I can round that down and reduce it by 3%. Obadiah Stane's expression changed drastically upon hearing the price. Hey, was this even human language? What did he mean by rounding it down? This guy had struck right at his bottom line. Obadiah Stane thought of the 15% of shares he had left, and a chill couldn't help but run through his heart. This guy had definitely dug up his background to name a price he absolutely couldn't refuse. Obadiah Stane's face went from black to white, and he remained silent for a long time. Finally, as if he had come to a realization, his mouth twitched slightly with an expression of heartache. Fine, deal, then, happy doing business with you, Mr. Obadiah. Detected that the host is in a pleasant mood, pleasantness plus 1000. Tony, you really are my lucky star. Yu Xian toyed with the wine glass in his hand, the amber liquid leaving faint traces on the glass wall as it sloshed. He was sitting on the top deck of Tony's private yacht. In the distance, the city's neon lights reflected against the starry sky, and the sea breeze, carrying a hint of saltiness, brushed against his cheeks. Tony raised an eyebrow. How did I become your lucky star? Thanks to you, my investments have multiplied several times over. Plus, we'll be family soon. And it wasn't just the investments, in a while, you'll find that the shareholders of your company have changed too. Yu Xian took a sip of his wine, a shrewd light flashing in his eyes. Every time you appear in the media to announce a new decision, I make a fortune. Tony swirled his wine glass and glanced at him. I couldn't tell, you're quite good at investing. Hee, it's all for survival. Yu Xian raised his glass. To you, Mr. Iron Man. Iron Man, Tony savored the words. Good name, Yu Xian, I like this title. From today on, please call me Mr. Iron Man. Katarina walked over holding a juice, rolling her eyes. Captain, we still have a mission report tomorrow. Mission report, Yu Xian began to play dumb. What mission report? How come I don't know about it? The one I've been writing for a whole week. Oh, that one. Yu Xian put on an expression of sudden realization and waved his hand. I trust you. I'll leave those matters to you. Katarina's eyes widened, the corners of her mouth twitching slightly. Can't you help out for once? I am helping you. Yu Xian rubbed his fingers together righteously. I've already helped you earn a huge sum of money. Isn't that much more important than those documents? Tony burst into laughter. I'm liking you more and more, Mr. Agent. Just then, Tony's phone rang. He glanced at the caller ID, his expression shifted slightly, and he chose to ignore it. Yu Xian caught a glimpse of the characters, Obadiah, on the screen, and a faint smile played on his lips. Poor Obadiah, he should be working day and night to build the arc reactor right now, right? As for the problems that giving him the arc reactor blueprints would cause. What did that have to do with Yu Xian? He wasn't a saint, how could he care about so much? The world wouldn't have any issues just because of an arc reactor blueprint. Even if Obadiah became a different Obadiah through the arc reactor blueprints, what did that have to do with him? If something happened, shouldn't they look at the person causing the problem? Instead of looking for him. That would be a huge double standard. What's wrong? Is your good butler looking for you? Yu Xian asked as if casually. Nothing, just company business. Not important. Tony stuffed his phone back into his pocket. Speaking of which, do you want to try out my new toy? I just built a brand new race car. Oh, Yu Xian's eyes lit up, extremely excited. The useless skills rewarded by the system could finally be put to use. Tony, how about we race? The winner gets their tab at the bar covered for the night. You better think it through. I've never lost a race. Hey, Yu Xian put down his glass. You haven't seen me drive yet, so how can you be so sure you'll win? Katarina covered her forehead. Captain, last time you were speeding, we almost got caught by the traffic police. That's because I was letting them off, otherwise, they wouldn't even see my taillights. Yu Xian didn't care. Tony's eyes flashed with excitement. Actually, we could add a wager to make this race more interesting. Oh, let's hear it. The loser has to teach the other their most prized technology. If I lose, I'll teach you the principles of the arc reactor. If you lose, you teach me that ice magic. Oh, this was interesting. Tony was taking the initiative to exchange technology. However, he wasn't interested in that stuff. After all, he already had it. I don't want technology. Just customize a mech for me, how about that? Deal. Tony agreed without hesitation upon hearing that. Magic, this was a world that normal people couldn't touch. Would he have a chance to touch it too? Yu Xian looked at Katarina's look of, I'm ashamed to be associated with you, and felt amused. Hey, silly girl, do you think I'm asking for myself? It's all for you. As the team leader, he had worried himself to death. Between drinking with him and keeping him company through the night, he had finally secured the promise of a custom Iron Man mech. And yet, he got a lack of understanding from his team member. Life really wasn't worth it. Obadiah's secret laboratory. It was filled with a bunch of exhausted engineers. However, in front of them, a tall steel body stood in the center, and a new type of reactor on its chest was continuously providing power to it. The new reactor had finally been successfully cracked. At the racetrack, the roar of engines was incessant. The surroundings were filled with onlookers. On one of the tracks, two specially modified race cars crouched at the starting line, their engines constantly revving, while the drivers inside waited silently for the signal to begin. The rules are simple. 3 laps to decide the winner. Yu Xian, don't go crying if you lose. Tony, sitting in his car wearing sunglasses, tapped his fingers lightly against the car door as he looked at Yu Xian beside him. Tony, are you sure you want to talk about speed in front of me? A playful smile curled the corners of Yu Xian's mouth. An armor crafted by Iron Man himself. I'm going to get that. Yu Xian looked at Tony with provocative eyes. Between the two, invisible lightning seemed to clash within their gazes. Ready. Katerina stood in front, reluctantly acting as the referee. 3, 2, 1, start. Before the words had even faded, she swung the signal flag in her hand forcefully. Vroom. In an instant, the cars they were controlling shot forward like arrows released from a bowstring. For a moment, both sides were neck and neck. But as the cars reached the first sharp turn, Yu Xian steered his car at an incredible angle, carving a perfect arc and instantly drifting past Tony to take the lead. This guy, his driving skills are this good. Tony's eyes widened, he was completely shocked by his opponent's driving skills. He had never expected Yu Xian's driving skills to be so superb. In that last moment, this guy hadn't even slowed down, and was still sprinting at full speed. Was this guy not afraid of flipping the car? Piece of cake. Relying on the reaction speed and precise judgment provided by the passive ability of his stand, Star Platinum, combined with his maxed-out driving skills, Yu Xian felt as if a god of racing had descended upon him. He felt as if he had completely merged with the car, every acceleration and every turn was perfectly executed, truly flawless. You think you can shake me off just like that? Not so easy. Tony inwardly marveled at his opponent's skills, but refused to concede. In the blink of an eye, they reached the final lap. All or nothing. Seeing the finish line approaching, Tony decided to go all in, attempting to overtake Yu Xian from the inside lane. However, Yu Xian seemed to have anticipated his intent, maneuvering his car to block the path and completely shattering Tony's illusions. Tony cursed under his breath, but could do nothing about it. Before the finish line, Yu Xian crossed first with a one-car length lead, easily winning the bet. Haha, that felt great. Yu Xian jumped out of the car, feeling exhilarated, and looked at Tony, who had also reached the finish line and was standing to the side with a dejected expression. Want another round? Tony silently took off his sunglasses, his expression complex. Forget it, if I lose again, I won't have the face to see anyone. He stepped forward and patted Yu Xian's shoulder. I owe you a mecha. Don't worry, I will honor my promise. Katerina looked at Yu Xian in surprise. Captain, you actually won. Is there anything else about you that I don't know? Hey, never underestimate your captain's abilities. Yu Xian curled his lips, feeling in a great mood. Tonight's drinks are on Tony. Detected that the host defeated Iron Man in a race and is in a pleasant mood. Pleasure points plus 500. Night fell. The most luxurious nightclub in Los Angeles, Paradise, was brilliantly lit, with deafening music. Yu Xian raised his glass to clink with Tony's. To our friendship. Tony smiled and shook his head. To your driving skills and my soon-to-be bankrupt bar tab. On the dance floor, men and women were twisting their bodies wildly to the rhythm, unleashing their inner passion. Katerina was also invited to dance by a few men. Under the influence of alcohol and the atmosphere, she let herself relax for once, her blonde hair shimmering with a charming glow under the lights. Look over there. Tony pointed to a few supermodels in the corner. Want to go meet them? Yu Xian's eyes lit up. That's a good suggestion. Detected that the host is socializing at a nightclub and is in a pleasant mood. Pleasure points plus 200. For the next week, the two of them went wild. Slacking off during work hours is the best. Yu Xian lay on a luxurious lounge chair at Tony's private villa, leisurely sipping fruit juice. Life is truly wonderful. This protection mission from Nick Fury is just amazing. Nick Fury. Detected that the host is in a pleasant mood. Pleasure points plus 50. It's hard to imagine you're an agent. Tony sat beside him, sipping whiskey. You know how to enjoy life even better than I do. That is my life philosophy. Yu Xian lazily stretched. Life is short, enjoy it while you can. Just then, a white owl flew silently nearby. Hoot tilde, boss, there's a new situation. Yu Xian made an excuse and slipped into the restroom. What's the situation? He looked at White Phoenix, who had followed him in, and asked in a low voice. Hoot tilde, that person has made a large batch of big, tall things. Has it already begun? A sharp glint flashed in Yu Xian's eyes. I'm starting to get curious, with resources he didn't have in his previous life, just how far can this guy go? Meanwhile, in a secret factory of Stark Industries, Obadiah Stane stood in front of a row of huge steel mechas, a sinister smile appearing on his face. How is the assembly progress? He asked the engineer beside him. 95% complete, Mr. Stane. With the new arc reactor, we can get them all up and running. Obadiah Stane gently stroked the cold metal surface of the steel mecha. His eyes full of greed. Tony thinks that shutting down the weapons division can stop wars. Stupid. True power only belongs to those who dare to use it. A force called ambition began to spread wildly within Obadiah Stane. Since I already possess arc reactor technology and an army of steel mechas, I don't need to fear anyone anymore. Why should I still be fixated on the arms business? Energy. Only by mastering endless energy can one have the greatest reliance in this world. From the moment he mastered the arc reactor technology, a faint idea began to emerge in Obadiah Stane's mind. It was like a loose thread. Once pulled, he discovered an endless abyss beneath. All sorts of dark thoughts sprouted in Obadiah Stane's mind. I want to be the king of the world. To be the master of the world's energy. Obadiah Stane turned and left the factory. Behind him, hundreds of steel mechas glimmered with a cold metallic luster under the dim lights. Like a sleeping army, quietly waiting for the day to be awakened and to roar at the world. Ladies and gentlemen, good evening. Tonight's evening news includes: Stark Industries stocks have plummeted over time, and the company's market value is currently only 15% of its peak. A large number of shareholders have expressed their extreme disappointment in Tony Stark. Starting early this morning, power outages have occurred in most parts of the country, and the cause is still under investigation. Stark Industries CEO Obadiah Stane has announced that Stark Industries has successfully developed the arc reactor, which can supply enough energy for the entire country for nearly 100 years. To ensure normal electricity usage for residents, the Stark Industries arc energy system has now been connected, and power supply has returned to normal. Quote. Katerina watched the television news report. As an agent, she had an inexplicable feeling that this matter was not ordinary. Large-scale power outages. Stark Industries. For some reason, the image of Yu Xian's smiling, upturned lips suddenly appeared in her mind. Could the captain know about this? Katerina turned her head to look at Yu Xian, who was playing cards on the side, and her face darkened. No, this guy isn't a god, how could he possibly know everything? However, the losses this time won't be small. Over 20 states have had their power facilities attacked, and the key point is that we haven't even seen a shadow of the enemy. This is not something an ordinary person could do. Watching the news, Katerina felt a surge of anger in her heart as she saw the heartbreaking and helpless wails of the families of the victims caused by the sudden, large-scale power outage. Whoever committed such an evil deed will be caught sooner or later, and justice will be served for the deceased. Number 1. Please respond if you receive this. Number 1. Received. Over. What is your situation now? We have followed the clues and found the lair of those people who attacked the power generation facilities. Number 1 looked up and saw, in the pitch-black factory building in the distance, the faint light of a bright corporate sign flickering, with the blue letters, Stark, standing out remarkably in the darkness. Wait, this is Stark Industries. Number 1 couldn't help but gasp. He never expected that the investigation would lead here. Number 1 hurriedly called over his 2 teammates to help take pictures and collect evidence of the crime. This was big news. The group moved forward and arrived in front of a large factory building. The ground was covered in massive footprints that looked nothing like anything a human could leave behind. What kind of monster left these behind? Number 3 squatted down and shone his flashlight on the strange marks. It looks like some kind of mechanical device. Number 1 looked up at a small door that was slightly open on the factory building, pondered for a moment, and made a decision. You 2 wait outside as backup. I'll go in and take a look. If I don't come out within 10 minutes, retreat immediately and send the intelligence back to headquarters. Number 2 frowned. It's too dangerous, we should wait for reinforcements. Number 1 checked his weapon. There's no time. If this is really related to Stark Industries, every second is crucial. Number 1 quietly approached the small door, took a deep breath, bent down, and slipped inside. As soon as he stepped in, he was shocked by the scene before him. In the distance, hundreds of iron mechs were arranged neatly, standing silently on the ground. Each mech was about 3 meters tall, and blue light flickered on their chests. That was the light of the arc reactor. Number 1 recognized it. He had seen that device on Tony Stark's chest in the news. Above, a black, sturdy-looking mech was hovering in the air, giving a speech. It was Obadiah Stane. Well done, my soldiers. Now, half of the country's power facility lines have been connected to Stark Industries. Now, our goal is the remaining half. As long as we complete this, the lifeblood of the nation's energy operation will be firmly in our hands. At that time, we will be the masters in the shadows. We can let whoever we want live, and whoever we want to die will die. Soldiers, you have 3 days to complete this feat. The tall black mech waved its hand and roared, "Now, depart." Boom, boom, boom. The army of iron mechs below had flames erupt from the soles of their feet, rose from the ground, scattered in the air like bees, and flew off in all directions. Number 1 held his camera equipment with a shocked expression. He never expected to witness such a scene. Just then, he suddenly noticed the black mech in the video shift its gaze and instantly turned toward him. Number 1 immediately felt a chill run up his spine. "Little bug, what are you doing?" Tilde. Number 1's 2 teammates, who were waiting anxiously outside, suddenly heard Number 1's scream. Their expressions changed drastically. Without hesitation, they turned and ran into the distance. This was the rule they had set with Number 1. If one of them got into trouble, they were to retreat immediately, not attempt to rescue, and getting the materials out was the key. Hum tilde. The 2 running men felt the light above them darken, the moonlight completely blocked by an unknown object, and a huge humanoid silhouette appeared on the ground. Sensing something wrong, the 2 glanced upward and discovered a massive steel creation hovering in the air, silently watching them. The iron mech's scarlet eyes were like an eagle staring at weak prey, incomparably sharp. Both were terrified. One of them even said with trembling lips, "What kind of monster is that?" Not long after, 2 screams rang out from the Stark Industries factory area. But they were quickly swallowed by the silent night, and the entire factory area fell back into calm. New York Manhattan Police Station. Hello, hello, hello. Is anyone there? Please answer if you can hear me. Police Chief Joe Ferguson listened to the busy signal in his ear and knew in his heart that his subordinates were likely in danger. Stark Industries factory. Joe Ferguson's face was furious as he turned his gaze to the position of Stark Industries on the map standing in front of him. At the same time, the large number of standard iron mechs sent out by Obadiah Stane destroyed large swaths of power facilities across the country, and the entire United States began to fall into a large-scale power outage. The entire United States began to descend into chaos. The inner desires of people, who had previously been suppressed by various electronic facilities, were awakened. The bold ones had already started to scheme, turning their eyes toward major jewelry stores and various luxury brands. Others had their inner desires ignited. Without the usual electronic suppression, they completely let themselves go. Robbery, destruction. People who originally lived at the bottom of society seemed to have entered Christmas, starting to revel freely on the streets. Street racing, arson, home invasion, robbery. Gunshots, people's shouts, the roar of motorcycles, the sound of breaking glass. Various sounds mixed together, composing a scene that looked like hell. Blood, 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 there was blood everywhere. Fire, 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 everything was burning everywhere. Tony, Malibu Seaside Villa. Hello, Director, Tony. Rest assured, he is perfectly safe. What, you say I'm living more comfortably than you, eating and drinking every day? You can't just go around saying nonsense. I am providing close protection. Since I'm providing close protection, isn't it only right that I sponge off him for food and drinks? You want me to keep a close eye on him? Is it too chaotic outside right now? Fine, you can put your heart at ease. This guy is perfectly safe. Yu Xian turned his head to look at Tony, who had drunk too much and was snoring away on the sofa, and patted his chest to assure Nick Fury. It looks like this guy Tony won't be waking up until he sleeps naturally. Nick Fury, ahem, Director, just leave Tony to me. You know me, right? You can trust me to get things done. All right, goodbye, Director. Oh, right, Director. The expenses from the last mission to the Middle East haven't been reimbursed yet. Take a look. Beep, beep, beep. Asterisk. Yu Xian looked at the phone with the busy signal, silently calling Nick Fury stingy. It's just a few $100,000, isn't it? For a behemoth like S.H.I.E.L.D., that's just a drop in the bucket. Nick Fury is really narrowing his own path. I know this guy has secretly handled hundreds of millions of $, and I have no idea where it all flows. Director, you wouldn't want this secret to be discovered, would you? Yu Xian randomly thought of something, and his train of thought wandered further and further away. Ring, ring, ring. Asterisk. At this moment, Yu Xian's phone alarm rang. Hey, today's 8-hour shift is over, it's time to start the daily slacking off. As for the chaos outside that Nick Fury mentioned, how chaotic could it really get? And what does it have to do with him anyway? If the sky falls, the tall guys will hold it up. Who does he think he is? Given his own strength, he'd better not get involved. Anyway, no one is looking for him right now. As long as Nick Fury doesn't look for him, he will stick to being irresponsible and unproactive. There are a bunch of mechs flying around causing destruction outside, and I'm definitely not getting involved in this mess. Although this matter seems related to him, how could it possibly be more important than leveling up, slacking off, and improving his own strength? Besides, the problem lies in the human heart. If people's hearts are corrupted, even without him, what's meant to happen will still happen. So why be a saint? Anyway, as long as the people around him are fine, who cares if the world is flooded? After all, there are too many tragic things in this world. People's joys and sorrows are not connected. By the way, he gave White Phoenix and the others time off, and he doesn't even know how chaotic things are outside right now. Forget it. As long as these guys don't provoke him, he'll just pretend he didn't see anything. Yu Xian immediately threw Nick Fury's warning to the back of his mind and looked at the TV in front of him with excitement. Finally, he could watch his show in peace. Work and such is really too exhausting. These past few days, he's been hanging out with Tony, going to nightclubs, bars, surfing. But Tony has never once left his sight. He was very diligent, providing close protection all the time. Detected that the host is happily watching the show, happiness value plus 100. What should we do? Has God abandoned us? In the Stark Industries factory area, a reporter looked at the blood-stained ironmonger armor in the distance, trembling in his heart. Pale and weak before the camera, his legs trembling, he continued his report with tears in his eyes. Fellow citizens, today is a day of despair. An unknown armor is slaughtering our heroes, and we are powerless to stop it. This is a day of infamy. Just as the male reporter was filled with righteous indignation, the black mech in the distance seemed to finally notice the reporters on the periphery. The tall steel mech made a dash, charging toward these reporters. The shadow of the mech loomed over them, and the reporters retreated in terror, but the cameras remained aimed at this massive metal behemoth. Bang tilde asterisk. After the black mech landed, its heavy body caused the ground to groan under the weight, creating cracks. Don't be in such a hurry to run, you are still of some use to me. The familiar voice of Obadiah Stane came from inside the black mech. Upon hearing this voice, all the reporters were shocked. Obadiah Stane, why is it you? So it was you who caused all of this. What exactly do you want to do? Various thoughts surged through everyone's minds, but they still couldn't understand why Obadiah Stane would do this. Obadiah Stane smiled and said to the camera, "Now, I have the honor of introducing the beginning of a new era to everyone." Before he finished speaking, he raised a mechanical arm. The energy cannon in the palm of the mech instantly finished charging, blue light flickering continuously, and fired. Boom, asterisk. An abandoned building not far away instantly turned into dust amidst the loud noise, leaving a huge hole in its place. Have you seen the power of my ironmonger? And this is just the beginning. From now on, the energy lifeline of the US will be in my hands. Obadiah Stane's voice spread through the pitch-black night sky and was transmitted to all parts of the country via live broadcast. Whoever submits to me will gain light, whoever resists me will sink into eternal darkness. His voice echoed continuously in the night sky, I will become the master of this world, and you will become the subjects under my rule. Obadiah Stane finally said, tomorrow, you will welcome a brand new world order. In the distant Stark Industries factory, hundreds of steel mechs appeared again. Under his command, the mechs took off into the air like a torrent of steel, swearing to the world the birth of their new king. Because of the massive power outage, the riots caused by the people became increasingly intense. Countless people took the opportunity to fish in troubled waters, and there was chaos everywhere. This was a carnival for rioters. Many people were awakened in the middle of the night, looking at everything happening on the streets with confusion. Boom, 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 asterisk. At the end of the street, combat vehicles appeared one after another, with soldiers sitting on them, their expressions solemn. Because they were about to go to the battlefield, the news from the front lines was already known to the soldiers about to deploy, and they understood what kind of monster they were about to face. Oh no, the army is here. Retreat, retreat. Stop taking things, are you looking for death? Hurry up, if you don't leave now, it'll be too late. The moment the people who had fallen into madness saw the army, they instantly sobered up. As ordinary people, how could they resist a well-trained army? As armies began to be deployed everywhere to assist the police in suppressing the riots, it didn't take long for them to capture all those who broke the law. The city's power supply began to recover bit by bit after the army appeared and quelled the riots. People's attention shifted once again to Stark Industries in New York and the mech army that attacked power supply facilities everywhere. Through the explanation of the TV reporters, people clearly realized that the culprit was at Stark Industries, and they began to curse loudly. It's truly despicable. He caused such chaos for his own selfish reasons, he really deserves to die. Obadiah Stane wants to conquer the world with this steel. Hey, once the army is fully deployed, I want to see how many days this guy can jump around. What is wrong with Stark Industries? First, Tony Stark took the lead in closing the company's weapons development department, and now a madman has appeared. The army, where is our army? Why haven't they come out to stop this guy? Quote. Just as people were boycotting Obadiah Stane, a 1,000-man army arrived first at the target battlefield, the Stark Industries Park. No, how could this happen? Our army is just gone. Obadiah Stane, he is a devil. A complete madman. In front of their television sets, the hearts of countless viewers seemed to be gripped by an invisible hand, making breathing exceptionally difficult. Watching the scene on the battlefield, which resembled a living hell, through their screens, everyone felt a chill in their hearts, a cold shiver rising from the base of their spines to the tops of their heads. On the television screen, the ground was littered with tank wreckage, armor plates twisted and deformed, and gun barrels hanging limply toward the ground. Fighter jets had been severed at the waist, their fuselages engulfed in raging fires, the wreckage jutting obliquely into the scorched earth. Countless combat vehicles had turned into burning fireballs, thick smoke billowing, and the air was filled with the pungent smell of burning and the stench of blood. Soldiers were dead or wounded, corpses lay scattered about, severed limbs were visible everywhere, and wails filled the area. This apocalyptic scene deeply pierced the nerves of every viewer, leaving everyone feeling profound despair and helplessness. No one had expected that from the moment the army appeared to the end of the battle, less than half an hour had passed. The black steel mecha on the screen, like a Shinigami, was suffocatingly powerful. The soldiers' weapons were completely ineffective against it, bullets hitting it only sparked. Tanks and armored vehicles were like large toys in front of it, and artillery explosions could not shake the mecha in the slightest. Instead, every attack from the black mecha carried destructive power, easily tearing tanks and fighter jets into pieces. Punches, kicks, mecha missiles. In just a moment, these war machines that people usually feared were completely destroyed. Everyone watching the television felt as if they had been in a dream. They stared deeply at the black mecha hovering in the sky on the screen. Ironmonger. It's over, everything is over. Mommy, I'm scared. God, save us. What do we do? What should we do? This guy, Sheriff Joe Ferguson, slammed his fist onto the table. His gaze was fixed tightly on the black mecha on the television screen, which was moving as if in an empty land, destroying everything wantonly. This thing was simply not something humanity could contend with. Who on earth could still save them? Joe Ferguson had been a police officer for many years and had seen countless vicious criminals, but he had never felt as helpless as he did today. He paced anxiously back and forth in his office, thoughts flashing rapidly through his mind. It seemed the army could no longer be counted on, so... Wait, Stark. Joe Ferguson stopped abruptly, a glimmer of light flashing in his eyes. Something this big had happened to Stark Industries, there was no reason for that guy to be this calm. Moreover, he did not believe this matter had nothing to do with Tony Stark. I have no choice but to try anything now. Joe Ferguson muttered to himself, quickly picked up the phone, and dialed a number. Beep, beep. The phone rang again and again, but there was no answer. No answer. Could something have happened? No, he had to go to Tony Stark's residence himself to check. Yu Xian, I really have to thank you. If it weren't for your help, how could I have realized the joy of possessing power? Presumably, those people up there shouldn't be able to sit still anymore, right? This time, the demonstration of the Iron Legion's value will be enough to make them understand the importance of absolute force. Obadiah Stane looked at the hellish scene around him with indifference. This was just a little game. He needed to let those people up there clearly realize the value of the Iron Legion he had developed, so that he could sell it for a good price. Obadiah Stane understood clearly. By destroying the city's power supply system to create chaos, he could force the government and the public to submit to his energy supply, Stark Industries' arc reactor technology. First control energy, then control the military, and finally control everything. Those politicians, generals, and even S.H.I.E.L.D. would all grovel at his feet. Essentially, he was establishing his own hegemony through a dual-energy military system. Obadiah Stane recalled the scene at the press conference when Tony announced the closure of the weapons division. You think you are seeking redemption? No, you are just trampling on our empire. For so many years, he had been the actual controller of Stark Industries, while Tony was just a playboy obsessed with pleasure. But now this ungrateful brat dared to threaten his position. Close the weapons division. Simply ridiculous. Obadiah Stane looked at the arc reactor on his chest, excitement showing in his eyes. This technology should have belonged to him in the first place. Only he could bring out its maximum value. Who could have imagined that the playboy who spent his days obsessed with wine and women could actually build a reactor in a cave? Yet his own scientific research team had spent a vast amount of time unable to replicate it. Fortunately, until that mysterious agent appeared, bringing the complete reactor and blueprints. Only then could his idea be realized. The black ironmonger mecha hovered in the air, and Obadiah Stane looked down at the wreckage of the destroyed army below. Flames writhed like fire snakes in the ruins, billowing smoke obscured the sky, and blood stained the earth red. This is the taste of power. It is, truly intoxicating. Stupid Tony, you have talent but you don't know how to use it. The world does not need pacifists, it needs maintainers of order. Tony, your idealism is dragging us into the abyss. Energy is power. With energy, you have everything. Rather than being an arms dealer with wealth rivaling a nation, it was better to become a god who decided who could survive. This was the ultimate form of power. Tony didn't understand. He was bound by those boring morals. If he hadn't prepared early, Stark Industries would have long been destroyed by Tony's saintly heart. Sir, the last 3 energy nodes in the eastern region have been taken over. The subordinate's voice came through the mecha's communication system. Currently, 70% of the energy nodes across the country had been transferred to Stark Industries' control network. The energy from the new arc reactor was sufficient to supply the entire country's power needs, and he was the only one who controlled the switch. Very good, now start the second phase. Obadiah ordered. I want to let people see what true order is. Obadiah raised the mecha's arm, activating the energy cannon, with blue light gathering in the palm. From today on, only those who obey deserve to have light. Regions that reject me will remain in darkness forever. Boom! The energy beam shot toward an unoccupied building, and the entire structure collapsed in the explosion. The shocking scene spread across the country via live broadcast. He had already dispatched a special team to Malibu, and Tony's so-called, improved version of the reactor, would soon belong to him. By then, Iron Man would become a stepping stone for Ironmonger. Sir, we have detected signs of S.H.I.E.L.D. activity. The communications system rang again. No need to worry. Whether it's S.H.I.E.L.D. or the army, they are just guardians of the old order. And I will create a new order, destined to become the king of this new era. The world will eventually submit to the perfect combination of technology and power. No one can stop my advance. Thump, thump, thump. Early in the morning, Yu Xian and Tony were awakened from their sleep by intense knocking on the door. Yu Xian rubbed his eyes and sat up from the sofa, looking annoyed. Who is it, coming to disturb people's sleep so early? Jarvis, check the door. Tony said indistinctly. The aftereffects of the alcohol hadn't worn off yet. Sir, it is Sheriff Joe Ferguson outside the door. He looks like he is in an emergency. Tony stood up unsteadily, while Yu Xian lazily stretched. It's early in the morning, what could be so urgent? As soon as the door opened, Sheriff Joe Ferguson rushed in, covered in sweat. Mr. Stark, there are power outages all over the country. Obadiah Stane has taken control of Stark Industries. He is using iron armors to attack power facilities. He is preparing to control the national energy supply. What? Tony became instantly sober. What did Obadiah do? You don't know. Sheriff Joe Ferguson was shocked. He is wearing a black, ironmonger, armor and has wiped out an entire army. 70% of the country's power facilities are under his control. That's impossible. Tony couldn't believe it. The arc reactor technology should only be with me. Where did he find the talent to build it? Before he could finish speaking, the roar of an engine suddenly came from outside the window. Watch out! Yu Xian lunged at Tony, pushing him to the ground. Boom! One side of the villa's wall collapsed in the explosion. As the dust settled, 10 iron armors floated outside the villa, the reactors on their chests emitting a blinding blue light. Tony Stark, Mr. Obadiah sends his regards. The lead armor said in a mechanical voice. 10 iron armors hovered outside the villa, their palm energy cannons beginning to charge. Yu Xian looked annoyed, squinting his eyes. Tisk, really not letting anyone get a good night's sleep. Host's mood is poor, pleasure value -50. Mr. Stark, you guys go quickly, I will cover you. The sheriff barely managed to stand up, aiming his gun at the armors. How annoying. Yu Xian's eyes turned cold. His right hand gently stroked the seemingly ordinary hilt at his waist, and a cold aura spread from him. A chill surged from the scabbard, the blade instantly elongated, a chain grew from the end of the handle, and the tip took on a crescent shape. Bankai, Yu Xian's voice was calm and cold, as if it came from the depths of thousand-year-old ice. Thousand-year ice prison. The sky changed color abruptly, and in an instant, goose feather snowflakes drifted down, and the surrounding temperature plummeted to freezing point. The moisture on the sea surface condensed instantly, forming countless ice crystals floating in the air. What the hell is this thing? The leader of the armor squad exclaimed. Dozens of giant ice pillars rose from the ground in all directions, shooting straight into the sky, as if to pierce the heavens. Before the iron armors could react, they were pierced and surrounded by the ice pillars. Waves of cold air spread at an astonishing speed, and in the blink of an eye, all 10 iron armors were frozen in midair, forming a spectacular ice sculpture. The whole process took less than 3 seconds. Done, job finished. Yu Xian clapped his hands and turned to leave, as if he had just done a trivial thing. Joe Ferguson widened his eyes, his mouth forming an O shape. What kind of ability is this? Tony couldn't care about being shocked anymore and rushed to the workshop. Jarvis, immediately start the Mark III assembly program. I'm going to stop him. This is all my responsibility. I shut down the weapons division, but I didn't expect Obadiah to go this far and do such things. Tony, already prepared, looked at the injured director in front of him, filled with guilt and self-reproach. Yu Xian asked, "What do you plan to do?" Tony replied, "Of course, go stop him." Yu Xian took a bite of the apple in his hand, looking leisurely. Then good luck. The next second, the Mark III's thrusters ignited, and Tony turned into a red and gold streak of light, rushing into the sky. Captain, you aren't actually planning to stand by and watch, are you? Katerina, who was lucky enough not to be hit by the attack, stared intently at Yu Xian, wanting to see something in his abyss-like pupils. Did this not even surprise the captain? What on earth could stir his emotions? Yu Xian shrugged and said, "Of course not, I'm still counting on Tony to customize a set of armor for me. Let's see what our Iron Man can do. I'll go first, you and the sheriff follow behind." Pausing for a moment, Yu Xian saw the bruised and battered sheriff and signaled Katerina to heal him. "By the way, Katerina, you need to practice your crazy diamond more. Heal the sheriff." After this battle, Tony would be able to fully grow up, and he wouldn't need to protect him like a nanny all the time. Without waiting for Katerina to reply, a pair of giant ice crystal wings suddenly spread out behind Yu Xian. The ice wings moved, boom, with a sound. In place, Yu Xian's trace was already lost, leaving only a faint chill. Shield, the Triskelion headquarters. Nick Fury was holding a video conference. The attendees were Hawkeye, Clint Barton, Black Widow, Natasha Romanoff, and Agent Coulson. Hawkeye, how is headquarters going to solve this Ironmonger incident? This already involves the supernatural realm. Ordinary people and the military cannot solve it. Black Widow, do you need us to go back and support headquarters? Nick Fury, no need, you guys just focus on your mission. I have my own arrangements for this matter. Coulson, who did you arrange? This incident cannot be taken lightly. Can you tell us who the candidate is? Nick Fury, it's Agent Yu Xian. Hawkeye, what? This guy, this dude is either eating or playing every day, are you serious? Black Widow, hey, the last time I did a mission with this guy, I was almost angered to death. You actually chose this thing. Coulson, Ah, that guy who slacks off all day. Hawkeye. Director, are you sure you want to hand over such a big matter to him to handle? Black Widow. It's not that I look down on him, it's that I feel his strength doesn't allow him to solve this incident. Listening to everyone's objections, Nick Fury smiled mysteriously. You guys, you all underestimate him. Above the Stark Industries area, Obadiah controlled the Ironmonger, hovering in midair, surrounded by a neatly lined up legion of iron armors. Suddenly, an alarm sounded. High-speed flying object detected approaching. Obadiah's mouth curled up. Finally here, a red and gold figure streaked across the sky, rushing straight toward the Stark Industries area. Tony controlled the Mark III, activated the shoulder micro-missiles, and fired at the 10 iron armors in front. Boom, boom, boom. Explosions rang out one after another, and the 10 iron armors disintegrated in the explosions, parts flying everywhere. This was the first time the Iron Legion had suffered substantial damage since the start of the Great Battle. Obadiah. Tony hovered in the air, glaring at the black giant armor not far away. This all ends here. Obadiah's voice came through the speakers. Tony. You are always too late. I have already controlled 70% of the national power network. Soon, the entire world will submit to my energy hegemony. Tony activated his palm cannons, ready to fire. That day will not come. Obadiah Stane laughed loudly. Look around, Tony. I have an army, and you are only one person. As soon as Obadiah Stane finished speaking, hundreds of iron armors soared into the sky from the factory, surrounding the Ironmonger, forming a wall of metal that filled one with despair. Tony looked at the scene on the ground that was like hell, the wreckage everywhere engulfed in a sea of fire, countless corpses, shocking to the eye. In his heart, anger burned fiercely, almost swallowing him up. Obadiah, you lunatic, why are you doing this? Why? For power. For money. For this world. Obadiah Stane's voice became crazy and twisted. Tony, you are too naive. What this world needs is not peace, but order. You are wrong, Obadiah. You are not saving the world at all, you are destroying it. Destroying? No, I am saving this world. Is this still the world we know? Heavens, I never imagined such a surreal scene could play out in reality. Dear viewers, at our moment of greatest peril, an unknown hero has stepped forward. The results he has achieved are the most significant since the battle began. So far, nearly 50 Iron Legion machines have been destroyed and brought down. Can he stop this disaster? A female reporter shouted excitedly into the camera, while behind her, Obadiah Stane's Iron Legion was continuously being blasted apart and brought down from the sky by Iron Man Tony. In the air, Jarvis's voice reached Tony's ears. Sir, I must remind you that the number of enemies is overwhelming. Furthermore, the opponent still has one Ironmonger that hasn't entered the fray. Based on my calculations, our chance of victory is only 30%. Jarvis, forget about the odds, just give me your full computing power to find the best way to defeat them. These machines shouldn't be in the hands of those who shouldn't have them. Very well, sir. In the distant sky, a long path of ice crystals wound through the high altitude. It was the air frozen into tiny shards by extreme cold. A light blue icy silhouette streaked past. Yu Xian had finally arrived. Has it already started? Looks like Tony is having a lot of fun. He stared intently at the mech battle in the distant firmament, and seeing that Tony was currently in no danger, his initial slight worry was cast aside. As for our Iron Man's growth battle, I'll try not to interfere. Just watching and enjoying it is enough. If I don't have to act, why should I? That's not the way of slacking off. Yu Xian glanced at a nearby rooftop, flew over leisurely, sat on the edge, took a bag of potato chips from his pocket, and watched the battle while eating, just like watching a movie. Thanks to the extraordinary vision granted by Star Platinum, every detail of the battlefield hundreds of meters away was clearly presented to Yu Xian's eyes. Tisk tisk, these special effects are no worse than a movie. Detected that the host is in a pleasant mood, pleasure value +50. In the air, Tony was besieged by over 30 machines. Although he flipped and dodged flexibly, he was still hit by several energy blasts, sparks flying from the surface of his armor. Iron Man is about to lose. The reporter downstairs exclaimed, the camera aimed at that lonely red and gold figure in the sky. Look, he's been hit. Oh my god, how can he possibly fight so many machines alone? As expected, he's still too outnumbered. Quote. On the battlefield, Tony had indeed fallen into a predicament. He struggled, charging left and right amidst the group of machines. Suddenly, a powerful energy blast hit his thruster, and the Mark III lost its balance, falling downwards. 3 machines fired energy beams simultaneously, aiming directly at the falling red armor. "Watch out!" someone on the ground shouted. "Looks like it's time." Seeing Tony in danger, Yu Xian waved his right hand gently. "Ice make magic, ice lance." Dozens of crystal-clear ice lances appeared out of thin air above his head, refracting cold light under the moonlight. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. They shot at astonishing speed toward the machines preparing to launch a fatal blow at the falling Tony. Bang, bang, bang. The ice lances precisely pierced the joints and reactors of the machines. The moment several machines were frozen, they lost power and fell from the sky. This sudden attack took everyone by surprise. Obadiah Stane, who had been like a cat playing with a mouse, frowned as he watched the machines suddenly attacked and crashed. Under the cover of night, Yu Xian's attack went unnoticed. He leisurely took a lollipop out of his pocket, unwrapped it, and popped it into his mouth. "Looks like Tony still needs a little help." Yu Xian muttered indistinctly with the lollipop in his mouth, "But I'm just a bystander, he's still the main character." Tony took the opportunity to stabilize himself and rose into the sky again. He secretly wondered where that sudden assistance had come from, but he had no time to think about it now and plunged back into the fray. Time passed, and one Iron Legion machine after another was continuously shot down. "Jarvis, how many enemies are left?" "Sir, there are currently about 600 machines active. Your energy reserves have dropped to 67%. 67%. That's enough. Captain, are you really not planning to help?" Katerina climbed up to the rooftop where Yu Xian was, panting, and seeing his leisurely demeanor, she couldn't help but get angry. "Don't rush." Yu Xian licked the potato chip flavor off his fingers, his eyes fixed on the battlefield. "Tony needs this battle, and if it really reaches a critical situation, I will step in to protect him." In front of the live television broadcast, the nation's citizens watched this battle nervously. The news reporter was broadcasting the live situation at the top of their lungs. "The hero has shot down nearly 40% of the machines. But there are too many enemies. How much longer can he hold out? Look, dozens more machines have surrounded him." Tony was besieged by a group of machines, with energy beams shooting from all directions. He dodged flexibly, but was ultimately outnumbered, and a powerful energy blast hit his right thruster. "Sir, system damaged, right thruster efficiency dropped by 10%. 10 Iron Legion machines in the distance fired a fatal blow simultaneously, when suddenly an almost transparent ice wall formed in front of Iron Man, blocking the energy beam attack. An ice wall. Seeing this scene, Tony inexplicably thought of a lazy guy who loved to slack off. "Is it him? Captain, why not just use Hirenmaru? Wouldn't it be better to end the battle in one go?" Katerina, who had watched this scene from beginning to end, asked in confusion. Yu Xian shook his head. "Tony needs this victory, and..." He pointed to the gathering crowds of reporters and citizens below. "They need a hero, a real hero." A hero. Katerina silently savored these 2 words in her heart. Detected that the host is in a pleasant mood after helping Tony, pleasure value plus 100. The battle lasted for nearly an hour. Tony's armor was already scarred and battered, with energy reserves below 30%. But with his and the mysterious forces cooperation, more than half of the enemy machines had been lost. "Sir, I recommend a strategic retreat. The armor is severely damaged." "No, if I retreat, who will stop Obadiah?" Just at this moment, Obadiah Stane, piloting the Ironmonger, finally made his move. The black machine, like a moving mountain, rushed towards Tony at high speed. Obadiah's voice came through the loudspeaker. "Tony, have you had enough fun? Look at that pathetic armor of yours, it looks like it was just picked up from a junkyard." The Ironmonger raised its arm, and a heavy punch struck Iron Man directly. Tony barely dodged, but the massive shockwave still knocked him back dozens of meters. Obadiah did not stop, stepped forward, grabbed Tony, and slammed him heavily onto the ground again. The Ironmonger raised its huge foot, aiming at the Mark III's chest, once, twice, 3 times. Bang, bang, bang. Obadiah Stane, inside the Ironmonger, had a face full of hatred. 30 years, I've been holding you up. I started this company from scratch. I won't allow anyone to stand in my way, let alone you." Obadiah roared, maneuvering the Ironmonger to kick Iron Man away, and a swarm of missiles fired from the machine, heading straight for Tony Stark. Boom, boom, boom. Obadiah laughed loudly. From today on, your father's company is mine. The arc reactor technology you are so proud of is now just a power source for my army. The reporters on the ground watched this scene in despair. The hero has been defeated. God, is there no one who can stop this madman? In front of their televisions, the hearts of countless viewers sank to the bottom. They watched the disheveled red and gold figure on the screen emerge from the raging flames of the explosion, only to be stepped on by the Ironmonger. Tony Stark, look at yourself now. Obadiah looked down at Tony condescendingly, the former king of arms, now just an ant under my feet. The center of the Ironmonger's palm began to charge, the blue light growing brighter and brighter. Your era is over. All are brave. Quote. None need to hide. Quote. Who says those covered in mud aren't heroes? Quote. Who says only those standing in the light are heroes? Quote. On the rooftop of a distant high-rise, Yu Xion's phone rang, and a picture of a dark-skinned Nick Fury appeared on it. S.H.I.E.L.D. Director, Nick Fury. Tony, save me, save me, save me. The impact is too great right now. You need to step in and resolve it. Besides, this matter has something to do with you, right? You can't just ignore it. That's it then. I trust your strength, so I'm leaving it to you. Quote. Beep tilde beep tilde beep tilde beep tilde. Nick Fury spat out those few sentences and hung up the phone instantly, not giving Yu Xion a chance to speak at all. The main vibe was, I've said my piece, whether you do it or not is your business. Yu Xion glanced sideways at Katarina, who was trying hard to hold back her laughter, and couldn't help but roll his eyes. He reached out and pinched the fair, tender cheeks of the blonde girl. Ow tilde, it hurts tilde. Captain, I was wrong, I won't laugh anymore tilde. Hey, you know you're wrong now. What were you doing earlier tilde? Yu Xion sneered, slowly applying pressure with his hand, and only let her go after the girl begged for mercy. Captain, hurry up and go help Tony. Look, he's been kicked down. Captain, Tony is in danger. Hey, I'll let you off this time. Yu Xion stood on the rooftop, facing the evening breeze, and leapt off the building, his figure disappearing into the night. Only a faint voice echoed in the wind. Bankai, Dagurin Hirenmaru. Stand ability star platinum. In the center of the battlefield, Obadiah Stane controlled the Ironmonger, stepping on Iron Man's chest. The entire scene was broadcast live to the national audience through the reporters' cameras. Look at this world, Tony. Obadiah Stane roared, spreading his arms. From today on, I am the new Stark, the king of energy. The center of the Ironmonger's palm finished charging, the blinding blue light illuminating Tony's battered faceplate. I will control every inch of land in this country, every watt of electricity. People will kneel at my feet. The military will surrender to me. Congress will bow in submission. When people pray for light in the darkness, I will be their God. The reporters on the perimeter looked at each other. This insane declaration was broadcast across the country, making every viewer feel a chill down their spine. Obadiah Stane looked down at Iron Man beneath his feet, and you, Tony Stark, will be the first stepping stone on my path to greatness. Goodbye, Tony. Just as the energy in the Ironmonger's palm was about to be released, a bone-chilling cold swept across the battlefield, and goose-feather-sized snowflakes suddenly began to fall from the sky. Within a 1-kilometer radius centered on the Stark Industries factory, this sudden snowfall instantly extinguished the raging fires. The originally noisy battlefield instantly fell into an eerie silence. How can it be snowing? A female reporter exhaled a thick white mist and reached out to catch the falling snow. No, look ahead, everyone. Someone exclaimed, pointing at the Ironmonger. The reporters all looked over, only to see layers of frost spreading over the originally pitch-black Ironmonger. In the blink of an eye, it was bound into a snowman. A black figure descended from the sky, landing steadily in front of the Ironmonger. Everyone saw a young man in black clothes and black hair, with a pair of ice crystal dragon wings on his back. His right hand held an incredibly beautiful, 12-petaled lotus-shaped sword, his left hand was in his pocket, and his expression was extremely laid back. The black-haired youth looked up at the Ironmonger and said casually, "Excuse me, Mr. Tin Can. You're blocking my way." Hum. The Ironmonger, covered in frost and snow, made a deafening sound. Rustle tilde rustle tilde rustle tilde. The snow and frost on the mecha fell off. Obadiah Stane focused on the newcomer and was instantly enraged. It's you, you bloodsucker. You've come just in time, saving me the trouble of looking for you. Go to hell. The ironmonger's arm swung violently toward the black-haired youth. Everyone watched this scene in astonishment. Some soft-hearted female reporters couldn't help but close their eyes, not wanting to see the tragedy that was about to unfold. Even tanks and fighter jets had met their end under its two iron fists. How could a mere human body withstand this mecha filled with infinite power? The people in the distance saw the black-haired youth standing motionless. The ironmonger's intimidating punch could not advance an inch, stopping 1 meter away from the youth. What? Obadiah Stane watched this scene in astonishment. He felt as if the ironmonger had struck a thick wall and was stuck fast. God, what is going on? Is this magic? This miraculous scene was sent by reporters to the whole country via live broadcast. For the first time, everyone realized that this world no longer seemed to be the world they knew. What the crowd couldn't see was that in front of the ironmonger, a purple figure about 2 meters tall was holding back the ironmonger's iron fist. It was Yu Xian activating his Star Platinum ability. Obadiah Stane couldn't believe his eyes. He never expected that with the massive boost from the mecha, he still couldn't beat a human holding a sword, not even touching a corner of his clothes, even if this human was a bit special. The farce ends here. Hayaten Hayakaso. Given that Hyarinmaru is 3-star, the Hyarinmaru ability Yu Xian unlocked could already use a weakened version of Hayaten Hayakaso. Reporters and those watching the live broadcast saw that, with the black-clad youth at the center, a terrifying cold air swept outwards like a tsunami, and petals fell from the sky. The ironmonger's struggling movements became slower and slower, and the surface of its heavy armor quickly iced over, creaking. Even the precise internal gears were continuously eroded by the cold, gradually freezing up. Inside the ironmonger, Obadiah Stane frantically operated the control panel, with the arc reactor outputting full power, trying to break free from his predicament. The ironmonger shook violently, trying to break free from the icy bindings. The ice on the surface of the mecha constantly shattered, only to quickly reform, creating a visual feast of ice and fire. However, Obadiah Stane discovered in horror that the ironmonger's systems were failing rapidly, beginning to show no response to his commands. No, impossible. What kind of power is this? Obadiah Stane felt the shadow of death. His eyes were bloodshot, and he pounded the console desperately, his knuckles even turning blue from the excessive force. Give it up, Obadiah. Even with the arc reactor's energy, you cannot escape my ice prison. Seeing his body gradually covered in ice and snow, Obadiah Stane became even more frantic. No, I can't die. I can't die here. I haven't finished my mecha army yet. I haven't established my arms empire yet. How can I die? Tony Stark, save me. Save me. Obadiah Stane's desperate voice was broadcast through the transmitter, as ice flowers condensed on the black mecha. Everyone saw the black-clad youth gently wave the long sword in his hand. Snow fell from the sky, and under the cover of the heavy snowfall, the ironmonger was frozen, becoming a huge mecha ice sculpture, falling into complete silence. And Obadiah Stane's desperate pleas still echoed and drifted in the silent air. After the Stark Industries incident ended, the internet completely exploded. My God, is this still the world we know? I slept for one night and feel like I've transmigrated into a sci-fi movie. Iron mechs fighting is one thing, but there's actually a superpower user who can control ice and snow. Is this the world we recognize? God, am I still dreaming? Pinch me, does it hurt? Movies wouldn't even dare to act like this. I'll be honest, I'm a superpower user too. Doesn't anyone else think that black-clad figure in the video is incredibly cool? Freezing everything. So strong. Not sure, just asking, is there a place to train for superpowers? I want to learn too. This is definitely special effects. This is just a massive fraudulent performance. The guy above is full of it. I was at the scene. I saw with my own eyes that person wave his hand, and the whole area turned into an ice and snow kingdom. The Iron Legion was instantly wiped out and frozen by him. Major forums and social media were occupied by overwhelming discussions. #UnknownMechs. #Lord of Winter. #The true face of the world. #shocking. In our lives, there hides a group of people like this. Topics about superpowers, unknown mechs, and the identity of the Lord of Winter continued to dominate the rankings. Across the world, countless ability users hidden in the darkness were stirring. Some were excited, some were fearful, and some were ready to act. In an apartment in Brazil, Bruce Banner stared at the TV news with a frown. There are other ability users in this world. I'm not alone. In a hotel suite in Moscow, Natasha Romanoff watched the live TV broadcast with a solemn expression. As a top agent of S.H.I.E.L.D., she naturally knew what had happened behind the resolution of this incident. Did I underestimate him? Yu Xian. She didn't expect that Yu Xian, who had carried out a mission with her and had been slacking off the whole time, was secretly hiding such powerful strength. Natasha Romanoff looked at Yu Xian's stunning slash in the video that instantly froze the ironmonger. The sense of cognitive dissonance grew stronger, making her increasingly interested in the young man in black on the TV. Was this still the same person she knew, the one with a lazy face, who wasn't interested in anything, and only knew how to slack off at work? Watching the video, Yu Xian faced hundreds of Iron Legion mechs alone in the flesh after the ironmonger died. Natasha Romanoff keenly sensed that the world landscape was about to undergo a massive change. Beep, beep, beep. She dialed an encrypted number. Hello Tilda. Fury, we need to talk. In an internet cafe in Los Angeles, the hacker girl Sky stared at the screen with excitement. As a member of the Rising Tide organization, she had been searching for the truth hidden by the upper class. And today, she finally found a clue. Tap, tap, tap. She typed rapidly on the keyboard. Finally waited for you. Let me see who you really are. At a hidden Hydra base, Alexander Pierce sneered and turned off the projection. Interesting. It seems we have a few more opponents. In the Sakura country, at a bar, Hawkeye Clint Barton watched the news on TV and couldn't help but shake his hand. This guy, is he messing with me? Is this still the Yu Xian who lived a life of eating and waiting for death, whose slacking off was second to none? Is this still the Yu Xian who would drag him out for debauchery and a decadent life every time he returned? Haha, brother, you've gone too far. They say we share weal and woe, but my brother is eating dirt while you are eating delicacies. With this kind of strength, you dragged me down to be decadent with you, right? On the Bifrost Bridge in Asgard, a strange glint flashed in Heimdall's golden eyes. Your Majesty Odin, it seems some interesting changes have appeared on Earth. In the Wakanda Palace, Black Panther T'Challa looked at the holographic projection thoughtfully. Shuri, help me investigate this, Lord of Winter. In Kamar Taj, Wong showed a look of surprise on his face. The gears of the world's destiny that the Ancient One spoke of, are they finally starting to turn? At S.H.I.E.L.D. headquarters, the Triskelion, Nick Fury stood in front of the floor-to-ceiling window, looking out into the distance. Agent Coulson, contact Agent Yu Xian immediately. Our plan needs to be moved forward. 8 hours had passed since the end of the Stark Industries incident. The U.S. government reacted very quickly. After cleaning up the mess left by the Stark Industries incident, they immediately held a press conference to start clarifying things. Stark Industries, press conference site. Gov. Lieutenant Governor. Call. Rhodes was speaking on stage. Today is an unfortunate day because we have lost a large number of lovely police and soldiers. Today is also a lucky day because we have heroes quietly protecting us, bringing us hope when we are in complete despair. Let us observe a collective moment of silence for 5 minutes to pay our respects to the brave people who have died. Quote. Yu Xian listened to Lieutenant Call Rhodes' speech on stage, and couldn't help but feel a slight headache. Hee, Captain, you're famous now. Beside him, Katarina held the newspaper excitedly, checking the news on it. 2 pictures covered the entire front page. One was a picture of Tony wearing the red mech fighting the Iron Legion, and the other was the back view of Yu Xian after he delivered the final fatal slash to the Ironmonger. The back view was dressed in black as white as snow, standing in the center of the battlefield. Surrounded by countless frozen Iron Legion mechs, one could clearly see the back view holding a 12-petaled ice lotus-shaped long sword in one hand. Behind him, a pair of ice crystal dragon wings were spread out, refracting colorful halos in the moonlight, as if he were an ice monarch who had walked out of mythology. This back view formed a sharp contrast with the huge Ironmonger ice sculpture in front of him. The city lights in the distance were dim, while the back view looked like a messenger silently guarding the people in the darkness. When the reporters' cameras captured this stunning scene, the owner of the back view had already turned and left, leaving only frost and snow all over the ground and snowflakes falling continuously. People marveled at this incredible scene and called this mysterious figure the Lord of Winter, an ice and snow messenger who appeared at humanity's most desperate moment. Lord of Winter, what kind of nonsense is that? Yu Xian never expected that just by making a move once, he would be photographed. One can only say that the professional spirit of those fearless reporters is truly admirable. Looking at the angle of this photo, they were no more than 50 meters away from him. However, this feeling is really not bad. Hero, hee, so the feeling of being called a hero is so addictive. Detected that the host is extremely happy, happiness value plus 2000. Yu Xian. Next, Mr. Stark has prepared a statement. Tony Stark walked onto the podium in a suit. I am very sorry, I apologize to everyone for the accident at Stark Industries. However, this incident makes me even more convinced that my decision to close the weapons production department was not wrong. When a person who is not worthy of their position possesses the power to threaten the vast majority of people, how dangerous and terrible is it for the public? At this moment, a reporter interrupted. Excuse me, Mr. Stark. Do you really think we believe that was a bodyguard? Yes, I mean that. Appearing just right in armor, when in fact you usually. Quote. Tony Stark looked around, looked at the reporters in the audience, and said after a moment of silence. I am Iron Man. Detected that the host successfully saved Iron Man and is happy, happiness value plus 2000. Ding. Host successfully witnessed Iron Man's growth path, activated limited time lottery reward. Within 3000 draws, you will definitely get the designated gold level skill within the series.
Thanks for watching my video. Please like and share it.